We're doing every single event. We're not leaving any event untouched. And I stayed up till 4 a.m. last night. So I'm on very little sleep because I had to get in my final rankings of every event going into the Olympic trials. The Olympic trials start on Friday. I wanted to have the final U.S. rankings for the 100, the 200, the triple jump, shot put, discus, 10K, 3K, steeple, everything you can think of. And we're going to preview every event here in a mega pod. I'm excited. You excited? It's going to be a long one, but we're going to get through them all.
Yeah, we're going to try to do this in 90 minutes, 5 minutes per event. Some I'm sure will go a little longer, some a bit shorter. You can put comments in the chat if you're watching on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to the FloTrack Podcast YouTube channel if you haven't yet. And the order in which we'll do these events seems somewhat random as I look at my list. Is there any
It's not random at all.
It's not?
It's not random at all. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're going to start from short event to the longest event and go back and forth between track and field. So it'll be 100 high jump, short hurdles, pole vault, 200 long jump, 400 triple jump, and we'll go work our way all the way up to multis 10K.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's roll with the 100. Men, women. I guess we'll mix that up as well as we go forward. But let's just start with 100-meter men. Are you putting a clock on all these?
I'll do my own internal clock so we can kind of keep ourselves honest with each other. Hold on, let me get a clock going.
Gordon is getting his clock ready. But
stopwatch. Okay, ready? Men's and women's 100.
Go.
What are your thoughts? Boom.
Let's start with the men's 100. The men's 100. Let's start there. I think we have a couple clear storylines here playing out. One, Trayvon Bromell. He is the favorite. He's run 9.77 this year, undefeated this year in the 100. Then you have questions around Noah Lyles because he has not broken 10 seconds this year. And then you have the Fred Curley dynamic. 991. He's beat Gatlin and DeGrasse this year. Good wins. He's scratched the 400 going down to the 100 and 200. But it is deep all around. You cannot forget names like Justin Gatlin, obviously, Ronnie Baker, Marvin Bracey, Isaiah Young. To me, I feel really strongly about Bromell making a team. And then there's a lot of question marks in this event, Gordon.
Yeah, I think this is an event where there's only one lock, and that is Bromell. Everyone has a reason to be a top 3 guy behind Bromell, but everyone also has a reason not to be. Isaiah Young, his reason is he's been consistent. He has thrown down consistently sub-10s multiple times in 2021. His con, he has never really done it before, and he's on the older side. He's not one of those younger guys. Fred Curley, we know what he is. His pro is he's a freak of an athlete. His con is he's never done it before. Ronnie Baker, his pro is he's consistent. His con is can he be a clutch performer? Micaiah Williams, his con is college guy. So can he get it done when it matters most? Freshman. Bracey, he only has one good performance this season. Noah Lyles, you know what he's done. He's had a subpar 2021. Justin Gatlin, he's 50 years old. So they all have these different pros and cons. Right now, so what we did was actually created our final FloTrack rankings. So you guys can check them out on the site. They went up on the site live at 4 a.m. this morning. And right now, the FloTrack rankings have Bromell 1, Isaiah Young 2, and Fred Curley 3. With the 4, 5, 6 being Ronnie Baker, Micaiah Williams, Marvin Bracey 6, 7 Noah Lyles, and 8 Justin Gatlin. So that's the final that we have projected with Lyles and Gatlin in 7 and 8. But you just have to give credit for Isaiah Young being really consistent and Fred Curley, who low-key has had a really good 100-meter season that kind of you can't overlook. And maybe there's a reason he's doing it. Maybe he knows. Yeah,
there's got to be. There's got to be something going on there. I will just make one side prediction here. Justin Gatlin's not finishing 8th. I'm just going to say that right now. He may not make the team, but he's not going to finish 8th. We know what Gatlin's going to do. He's going to run somewhere in the 9.98 to 9.90 or maybe 9.88 range there. And I think he's anywhere from on this team from, second to sixth in that range. Yeah, I think Bromell is the only lock. I like the argument around Baker, just consistent and steady. And then I think that third spot's either going to come from Bracey or Young, one of the guys who's popped a sub 9.9 this year. And, you mentioned Bracey hasn't done much other than the 985. He has the experience of making the Olympic team, though. And Isaiah Young's made 200-meter teams. Those guys have at least gone through the process before. So are we making official picks on this?
Yeah. So what's your top three?
I'm going to go Bromell, Baker, Bracey.
Loving the B's. You going triple B?
Yes. Triple.
Bromell, Baker,
B.
Bracey.
Are you writing these down? Don't actually hold me accountable.
No, I'm holding you accountable. These are our final official picks. You get no takebacks.
Okay.
My order is going to be, I'm going with Bromell, Bracey, Curley.
Mm-hmm. On the women's side of things, we have a bit of a similar situation in that Richardson is playing the role of Bromell with the clear favorite here. And then after that, a lot of question marks. And then it almost divides down into youth versus veterans here, with Twanisha Terry, Cambria Sturgis representing the youth, and then people like Aaliyah Hobbs, Tiana Bartoletta, Javian Oliver, more like a Kinnison, Tiana Daniel. There's just a long list of women who I guess you could say represent the veterans here, even though some of them aren't that old, but they're not in college. So the collegians versus the post-collegians.
Yeah, and right now the collegians have the advantage outside of obviously Richardson. FloTrack rankings came in with Richardson 1, Sturgis, the NCAA champ 2, Twanisha Terry 3, who you said always finds a way to be top 3 in the races. Then Aaliyah Hobbs, Tamara Clark, Javine Oliver, Briscoe, and Tiana Bartoletta in 8th. I know you'll say Bartoletta will not finish 8th in the final.
Man, she dropped that. Look how many times she's raced this year. Tiana Bartoletta's raced like 60 times. It seems like her results page is massive, and she dropped a sub 11. That was very surprising to me. I think someone like Hobbs or Briscoe would have made sense as a pick, right? But it's tough to go against the collegians here when you have Cambria Sturgis running 1074. Yeah, I know it's wind dated, but then backing up with the 2212, and you have Twanisha Terry running a 1079 wind. We talked last pod about Terry. I'm big on Terry. I'm picking Terry for sure here. The only question mark to me is that third spot. I feel good about Richardson. I feel good about Terry.
All right, so I guess I should go first on my prediction.
Sure, unless you want to do more deep analysis here on what to expect.
Yeah. So here's the thing: we gave ourselves 5 minutes per event, and right now we're at 6:17. But I guess we should give an asterisk to the 100 because it is the marquee event. So it's okay if we go over, I guess. That's my okay. So we can keep talking on the women's. I think it's interesting. There are some like really big names that really aren't really having strong seasons that I could see not even making finals. Like Tiana Daniels hasn't really been running that well. Jenna Prandini, Desiree Bryant hasn't been running that well. Morikea Kinnison. Like these are like names that we've seen in multiple finals. Some have made multiple teams, but they haven't had like any really notable performance in 2021. And the question is, will these people who haven't had notable performances, are they just waiting for mid-June to have their like notable performance, or is it they're not what they used to be? That's the big question mark for me when it comes to the women's 100.
Well, you're absolutely right, because you look at these entry times that's on the USATF list, and they're not keeping it down to just this year. So a lot of times there's a performance there that's really old, and then you look at the times this year, and it's a bunch of 11.2s and a bunch of fourth place finishes. And that doesn't inspire much confidence going into the championships. Because if you actually look at this year's list, you got Richardson at 1072. This is just with their PB, their season best. Terry at 1089. Hobbs 1091. That was from the end of April. Sturgis 1092. Remember, these are legal marks. Tamara Clark, another collegian, 1096. Then Bartoletta 1097. Oliver 1097. Those are the only sub 11s this year. Then you got Briscoe at 11:02. It changes it a bit, as compared to looking at, well, what have they done within the qualifying window? Well, that's so long ago now.
Yeah, you gotta. When we updated these FloTrack rankings, we threw out 2019 altogether. There's nothing you could have done in 2019 that should influence the 2021 June performances. So
Yeah.
I was purely only looking at 2021 as a reference point.
Sure,
You've had enough opportunity to run in enough races to prove fitness, to don't prove fitness, etc. The only time I didn't really look at 2021 was for 5K, 10K, because not everyone needs to run a fast 5K in 2021 if you already had it. So you kind of have to adjust accordingly. But in the 100, you've had opportunities to run fast. There's no sit and kick 100 out there. If you're an 11.2 woman right now, likely you're going to be an 11.2 woman in June. So I'll give you my picks. I'm going with Richardson 1. And then I was tempted to go college back to back, but I'm gonna give a little love to these pros. They kind of have been out of the spotlight, so I'm gonna go Richardson 1, Tanisha Terry 2, Aaliyah Hobbs 3. So I'm gonna take out Sturgis.
You don't have Sturgis, yeah. And I got for that third spot behind Richardson and Terry, I got Javian Oliver. In that third spot. She's competed frequently. She's run in the Diamond Leagues. She's run the sub 11 this year. But it's wide open for that third spot. It's wide open for the finals as well too. But I think there is going to be some pro that pops it, like some pro that pops through.
So you're not picking Sturgis either?
I'm not. I'm picking Terry. Look, I was on the Terry bandwagon first. I feel like once I gave you that stat that she's finished top 3 in 5 of her 6 60 finals or 100-meter finals, that just swayed you. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if Sturgis makes a team. Let me be very clear about that. I will not be shocked if she makes the team. But Terry wasn't that far behind her last week, and we've seen what Terry does in these sort of races. She's ultra consistent. And I will, when we're wrong, when we record the recap pod after day 2, I will obviously say, what was I thinking? Why did I pick against the person? But Sturgis has entered in 2 events, correct?
Yes.
So
2 events.
Could be more Sturgis. Yeah. Could be more Sturgis coming later on in the show. I'm not saying she's not going to make the Olympic team.
True. So this pod that's projected to be 90 minutes long is now going to be a 3-hour Lord of the Rings trilogy, because that was 10 minutes on the 100. So high jump. We're going to the field events now. Reset the clock. Let's see if we can do a little better time. Get down the time a little bit. High jump. Start with the men. I mean, it's all about Javon Harrison. I don't think anyone is close to him right now. I don't see like the Eric Kennards or Jerron Robinsons or other guys really doing anything. Javon Harrison has dominated. He's pretty much taken over the mantle to be the best U.S. high jumper right now.
And I looked at the schedule, Gordon, because that's what I do. Even though we're not going to be there in person, I said, you know what? I'm a professional. I got to memorize the schedule. And we know that his high jump and long jump are on the same day, but they're separated by 2.5 hours. So I don't think he's going to have to bounce back and forth in the same way that he would if it was an NCAA championship. Not that he's not equipped for that. We've seen him do it before, but that should help a little bit, alleviate some of the strain of doing both events, unless the high jumps is going to take over 2.5 hours. But you know more about me in terms of how long the stuff will actually take. But I think by then he'll at least have a bunch of jumps under him, and he won't have to worry about reporting to the clerk of the course. Who else do we have on this list? We got Trey Culver as well, Shelby McEwen, Daryl Sullivan. So a lot of young guys in this field towards the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, mainly Sullivan and McEwen. I have the FloTrack rankings have it go Harrison 1, Daryl Sullivan of Tennessee 2, Shelby McEwen 3, Tyler Arroyo 4, and Eric Kennard, who that's the name that probably people remember most, in 5th. Mm-hmm. He hasn't jumped that well, Kennard, to really put a lot of trust to put him top 3 right now, just based on how the college kids are doing. I mean, let me bring up his. So, side note, guys, we don't have Travis on today's podcast, so we're not going to really have many graphics, which is unfortunate. So, Eric Kennard, he has jumped 230, which is good, but that was back in April. So it's been a while since he's done that. And hey, McEwen, Sullivan, and Harrison have all consistently jumped over 233. So yeah, so we have Harrison 1, Sullivan 2, McEwen 3, Arroyo 4, and Eric Kennard 5. Jerome Robinson 6. That's our projected FloTrack ranking.
And you look at hold on. You look at the yearly list. You got me all in on the high jump now, Gordon. You've roped me in. But you look at the yearly list. Harrison is number 2, a centimeter off the top mark. Sullivan is tied for 3rd, along with McEwen. So they have 3 of the top 5 guys in the world this year. So it's a really good year for American men's high jumping. And I'm looking back at history. Didn't medal in 16. Obviously, Kennard medaled in 12, and then didn't medal in 08. So this could be a big year for the U.S. men's high jumpers.
Yeah, I agree. What's your picks?
I think I'm following yours in that order. You have Harrison 1. Sorry. Harrison 1, McEwen, and Sullivan. That's where I'm going.
You go McEwen 2 or Sullivan 2?
Yeah. McEwen 2, Sullivan 3. But those 3 I think are going to be a cut above everybody else. Harrison, maybe PRs. Maybe he gets the world lead. What about you?
Here's a question for these picks. Does order matter when it comes to trials predictions?
I mean, for us, yes. Like when we're writing them down for bragging rights. But to the athletes, especially if it's between 2nd and 3rd, I don't think anybody remembers that. First and 3rd, you probably remember because, hey, you're U.S. champion. But between 2nd and 3rd, probably not. So, yeah, so write them down in order.
Okay. Women. So I'm going Harrison, Sullivan, McEwen. And you're going Harrison, McEwen, Sullivan.
Yep.
Women, the current FloTrack rankings as of 4 a.m. this morning. Vashti Cunningham 1, Jelena Rowe 2, Rachel McCoy 3, Rachel Glenn 4, Abigail O'Donoghue 5, and then the people we've kind of known in this event outside of Vashti, Anika McPherson 6, and Ty Butts Townsend in 7. What are your takes on the women's high jump? I mean, Vashti is basically and then it's everyone else.
Yeah, that's been an easy pick for several years now. I guess just the question is, I mean, she's tops in the world, so you think she's favored to win the gold, although nothing's guaranteed. The U.S. hasn't got a gold in the Olympic women's high jump since 1988, but after her, I mean, I'd say Rowe and McCoy. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, and when you look at the world standard list, only Cunningham, Rowe, and McCoy have the standard. Butts and McPherson have the world ranking quota, but you never know what could change between now and that. So Rowe and McCoy have definitely the safest path to get it if it's like an off day for everyone. But I'm going chalk in my mind. I'm going to go with Cunningham, Rowe, and McCoy. Are you doing the same?
Yep, in that order as well. Next event, we're moving on to the high hurdles here. 110 for the men, 100 for the women. I think we just get the men out of the way real quick. Holloway's going to win. Let's just put that aside. Let's just put that in.
Let's just talk. We don't need
permanent ink. We don't need.
We talked enough about Holloway. We talked enough about Holloway in 2019 that he can have just he can have 10 seconds in this Olympic trials preview.
Yes. Yeah, I've written 50,000 words about Grant Holloway. I don't need to say any more about Grant Holloway. You could just Google some of what I've written. And then I like Allen and Roberts for my other 2 spots.
Okay. Have you
Devin Allen's been like sneaky solid this year. Devin Allen.
Devin Allen has been sneaky solid. I agree with you. But you know who has not been sneaky solid? Daniel Roberts.
Yeah. I agree. But it's like, who are you going to put in his place there? I guess who has been
Robert Dunning. Robert Dunning.
Okay. Robert Dunning almost missed the NCAA final So I mean, he won the race, which is great, but he's shown vulnerability as well too.
Like if you look at his marks, uh, Daniels, he's not. He used to be like 13-0 or like
Yeah.
close to that, but like he started off his season with 13.29, but with a 5.5 wind. Then he was at 13.3 with a 2.2 wind, then 13.5, 13.39 with a 3 wind, 13.3 with 1.1, 1.4 wind. So his PB is 13.20, his season best is 13.23 with 1.1, which is solid. But Dunning has just been consistently throwing down sub 13.30s. I just think Roberts, for some reason, I don't think has been as consistent. And I'm willing to go, I'm willing to zag while everyone else is zigging. And I think Robert Dunning deserves to make that team over Daniel Roberts. And I agree with you, Devin Allen is going to make it. So I'm going with Holloway, Allen, and Dunning.
Mm-hmm.
And who are you going with?
I'm going Holloway, Allen, Roberts. I think, racing against Grant is going to bring the best out of him. I mean, in the races that he's run against Grant this year, 13.3 in Miramar, and then he's run a 13.23 in Jacksonville. I think they're just going to rekindle some of that SEC stuff. He's going to stay close. I think he'll be ready when the time comes. The women's is unpredictable because you have the huge influx of collegians, and then you don't really know what to take from these pro performances. This is kind of similar to the 100 that you talked about. You look like farther down the list. You're like, oh, okay. There's a lot of 12.7s, 12.8s there. Kenny Harrison, I think, is a obvious choice here. I would say Tania Marshall, but she's scratched the final in the NCAAs, so I don't know if she's running or how healthy she's going to be. So that one is a bit difficult. And then you got to decide between the collegiate group, of which you talked last pod about with Anna Cockrell. In fact, you made it your lock of the meet, I believe, which was really strong. But you had Cockrell.
Still believe in it. Still believe in my Anna Cockrell lock.
But like between Marshall, Brissett, and Cockrell, you got a group there of collegians. And then on the pro side of things, you got, Clemens, McNeil, Clay,
McNeil's out.
and Nelvis.
McNeil's out.
She's allowed to compete pending the completion of her case. So she's still allowed to compete in the race.
She is?
So she's still there.
I thought
I don't know what's going to happen with the case, but just for the purposes of this event and finishing top 3, I think you'd put those 4 together in one group, and then you'd put Cockrell, Brissett, Marshall in another group, and then Harrison in a third tier. But I got to admit, you talked me into Cockrell last race, and I think if Marshall runs, I think she's going to make it. I think it'll go Harrison, Marshall, Cockrell. If she doesn't run, I'm going to go Harrison, Cockrell, and then Christina Clemens for that third spot.
So wait, McNeil can run, make the team. Does that mean the 4th place person is just going to be sitting, waiting to potentially be selected?
Correct. Now, she has not raced at all this year, so we have no idea what to expect. But
okay,
yeah,
that seems like a crazy summer waiting. If you get 4th and she's in the top 3, I'm going with Harrison, Cockrell, and Clemens. I want to put actually, you know what? Maybe Marshall's fine. She did tweet Olympic trials up next.
Okay.
Maybe she's fine. So I'm going to go Harrison, Marshall, Cockrell. I'm going what my FloTrack ranking said. That's what I'm doing with. And it's changing to the guard. There's no more like Queen Clay isn't running as well as she used to. Sharika Melvis is not in the picture anymore. Nia Ali isn't even entered. Brianna McNeil hasn't run all year. She may be suspended. Dawn Harper Nelson, who's going to be in this race, isn't. It's not the normal Dawn Harper Nelson. She's in the twilight of her career. It's just a big changing of the guard, and this is kind of the start of it with the Marshalls, Cockrells, and Grace Starks of this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if there's another collegian that we're not thinking about who can creep in there as well too. But those people have kind of been running in the 12.7s, as opposed to that 12-5 group though. But it's interesting that whole cockerel making it the high hurdles and not the low hurdles thing is a fun story to watch.
So
Next up,
what's your order? What's your order?
so can I do two? No, I'm not allowed to do two.
No.
So I have to
No.
guess whether or not Tania Marshall's doing it. I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go. Man, there's the tweet. Do I believe the tweet? That's interesting. How much weight do I put on the tweet? I'm gonna go Harrison, Cockrell, Clemens. My three. Pole vault time, Gordon.
Yep, you know it. Doing
Walk
better
us
on
through
time,
this
by the
one.
way. That was a 6 minute. That was a 6 minute version. So we're doing good. All right, pole vault.
Let's try to make it up.
We'll make it up here in the pole vault. Sorry, pole vault. Right now, I'll go through the rankings. This is what we have in the rankings on the men's side. Chris Nielsen is ranked number 1. Sam Kendricks 2. Casey Lightfoot, the newly guy who left Baylor early to go pro, is 3. Then Zach Bradford 4. Matt Ludwig 5. And then the rest, as you can go on down the list. Check the full rankings on our site. Kendricks definitely should be consistent. He's going to make the team. He's a lock. He's one of the most world-class athletes we have. And I think just Casey Lightfoot, the way indoor season he was having, and Chris Nielsen, who, he's the one who beat Mondo before Mondo went on to break world records. I think Chris Nielsen, Kendricks, and Lightfoot is likely to be our team.
Yeah, you got the Lightfoot going pro in the middle of the college season dynamic. There. I don't have the record all time and how those people perform at the Olympic trials because I don't think it's happened that often. But yeah, I feel strong. I think Nielsen's solid. I think Kendricks obviously is there, but yeah, there's a little bit of a gap there back to Bradford. I'm sticking with those 3. Women, I mean, would you say the women's is more open than the men's?
Well, women's has an interesting factor because Jen Sir is entered and she hasn't competed at all in 2021.
Okay.
Is Jen Sir, what are we going to get from her? Like, is this going to be the vintage her, or is this just like, hey, I just want to go to the trials because I have a standard from 2019 so they can let me in and vault one last time? You would think if she was healthy and like regularly training, she would have been done at least one vault, right? What are your thoughts here? Do you think she's going to be a factor?
Okay, so her outdoor PB 493, right? And her 2020 season best, she jumped 485 at Albuquerque indoors. She didn't obviously do any competitions outdoors. And then 2019, she jumped 490. I'm looking at the 4th place person here. And on the 4th place, 4th seed, excuse me. So you have Nago at 493, Morris 484. And then you have a big drop down to the next best, which is at 471 and 470. So if she could get like a 475, she'd be good. And she did. I just mentioned last year, I know it was at altitude, but 485 in Albuquerque. She also did a 475 at Houston. I'm taking Shirt for that 3rd spot behind the other 2.
Even though she hasn't competed at all?
Even though she has not competed. She's going to be fresh, Gordon. She's going to be fresh. She'll be ready to roll.
Or she'll be rusty. She'll be fresh or is she rusty?
Yeah, rest versus rust. That's always the big debate in the pole vault world.
Big debate.
Yeah.
I don't
go ahead.
I'm not gonna. I don't believe. I think she would have done at least one like tune up to kind of get herself ready. So I can't have her making a team with no tune up. So I'm going with Katie Nago. Is it Nago or Nagoti? I don't know. I keep on.
I guess Nago.
Nago. And then Sandy Morris. She's the equivalent of the Sam Kendricks. Going to make every team. And I think Bridget Guy, who I've ranked 3rd in the FloTrack. I'm trusting the FloTrack rankings. I stay up to 4 a.m. making them, so I'm trusting them. So that's going to be my top 3. Nago, Morris, and Guy.
I like that you are sticking with your rankings, staying loyal to them. But one thing they can't measure, Gordon, is the heart of the champion, and that's Jen Scher. And that's why I think she's going to get that spot. Next up, we're on to the 200. Here we go. Men, women. Let's start with the men. So every year, people get their hopes up about the 200 because it could be awesome. Because you're like, man, there's these 200-meter specialists, and then there's these 100-meter people who could move up, and then there's these 400 people who move down. And then by the time you get to the end of the season and the end of the meet, it's usually watered down, and there's injuries, and people withdraw because they win the 100, and people's best laid plans about doing this ambitious double take a back seat to caution, and oh, my hamstring hurts a little bit, I'm not going to run. So I say that as a bit of caution because this men's 200 looks like an epic clash that in no way will disappoint us. There's no possible way we get let down by this men's 200. Because look at the names that we have now. Lyles, Norman, Laird, Bednarik, Curley, Ariane Knighton, high schooler. You got Harris, Flournoy, Cravon Gillespie. You got just a lot of people here. And I think
Bowling.
it boils down bowling. I think it comes down to obviously the five of Lyles, Norman, Laird, Bednarik, and Curley. Not to say nobody else has a shot, but those are the five that, if they're at their best, will qualify. Now, we don't know who's going to scratch
Bowling
out.
in there. Throw Bowling in there. Give Bowling some love. Come on. He's the NCAA indoor champion who has beaten Laird.
Okay,
Add
what
him
did he
in.
get?
Make it a group of six. Make it a group of six.
If I'm going to add him, why would I keep out someone like Gillespie?
Because
Why would I
Gillespie
keep out
hasn't
Ariane?
run the.
What
Gillespie
about
hasn't even
Ariane
run a
Knight?
200 this year. Arian
I mean,
Knight,
Ariane Knight.
no.
Listen, I'm making my group. This is my
Okay.
group.
Yeah, well,
Again, I'm not saying nobody else will ever make it. I'm just saying those five, if they're at their best, are gonna run it. I ultimately think Norman won't run it because I think he'll get into the four and then scratch. Laird is going all in on this. Bednarik's in the one, Lyles is in the one, but they're both better in the 200 in terms of medal chances. And then you got the ultimate wild card in Curley. This is going to be a fascinating race. Lyles has not run that fast this year relative to his other seasons. 19.9 is the season best. So this one is hard to sort out. I went early on and I said it's going to be Lyles, Laird, Bednarik. That was before Curley was entered and Norman was entered, and that was before, of course, we saw the NCAA championships. But I think I'm going to stick with that. What about you?
so you're going Lyles, Laird, Bednarik?
Yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to go too deep. Now, Curley, ultimate wild card, right? Because he has the most misleading PR in history. He's got 20.2 PR, but he's run 991 and he's run 43 in the quarter. So it makes no sense that he would not be a sub 20 200-meter guy. So that is the puzzle that needs to be solved here this weekend. Maybe there's just something weird about the 200 that he's not able to crack. But I just haven't seen it yet. And it's tough to pick a guy who's run 22.2 versus these guys who have run, like in the case of Laird, he's run a bunch of sub 20s.
I'm not overthinking it, but I am going to overthink the order. And I think this is the moment that we get a holy shit moment. And I think Laird wins. I think Terrence Laird wins. I think Lyles gets second and Bednarik gets third. And I think this is a moment that people are like, holy crap, Noah Lyles is beatable. And this is when you realize you should have never bet your house on Noah Lyles in 2021. So I'm going with Laird, Lyles, and then Bednarik.
Okay, so first of all, let me just say my house is secure. I feel really good about my house. This is a long season. Lyles is going to win that gold. Second, you just said I'm not going to overthink it, but I'm going to pick against a guy who has owned this event the last 3 years. That's the definition of overthinking it.
No, I'm picking the same three as you. I'm just picking a different order.
Okay. So you have Curley making it in the 100, but not the 200, which I don't blame you for.
Correct.
Based on his PBs, but that's just the weird state of track and field right now. All right, 200. Women's 200.
Let me double get you having Laird second or third?
I'm going in that order. Lyles, Bednarik, Laird. Lyles, Bednarik, Laird. That's what I'm going with.
All right, 200.
For the women. You ready for this?
I'm ready. You want me to go first? Or
Same situation applies here. We just don't know who's going to be doubling back because there's 400-meter runners in here. There's a lot of 100-meter runners in here. I'm assuming Sha'Carri's going to try to do the double. right? And I assume Sturgis is going to come back. Tamara Clark's going to come back. I have a 3 that I feel pretty good about. What is your 3? Oh, Felix, and we don't know about Felix, right? Everybody's saying she's only going to do the 2 or she's going to do the 400, but I have a 3 I feel pretty solid about.
Yeah, I'm going. So the FloTrack rankings have Richardson 1, Tamara Clark 2, Sturgis 3, Allison Felix 4, Gabby Thomas 5, Prandini 6, Battle 7, Irby 8. I think I didn't pick Sturgis in the 100. I think she gets redemption in the 200. And
Yep.
same thing with Clark. I think Clark and Sturgis are 2 college kids who don't make it in the 100, who come back, make it in the 200 along with Richardson. So I'm going with Richardson, Clark, Sturgis.
I have Richardson, but I have Gabby Thomas in there, and then Sturgis for the 3rd spot if Felix doesn't run. If Felix does run, I think she'll have a chance to get that 3rd spot, and I think we have to obviously consider the possibility that there are going to be a bunch of scratches. But Gabby Thomas has had a good season this year, and she's been consistent. She's been consistent. Excuse me. She's been on that pro schedule, and she won that race in Mount Sac. I feel pretty good about her being able to get it done. You're going heavy on the college side there, huh?
Yeah. So you're doing Richardson, Thomas, Sturgis. That's your order.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to guess scratches. Now this could all kind of blow up in my face because if Felix ends up scratching the 4 and only running the 2, that's going to impact my picks in both events. But that's the fun here, Gordon. It's track and field. Not only do you need to guess the results, you need to guess who's actually competing in what race because we don't really know until the gun goes off.
Super normal.
Never gets
That's
old.
super normal.
It never gets old. Never gets old. All right, I see next on the list you have the long jump.
Yes. Long jump. Got it back to Javon Harrison party.
Yes.
He's the heavy favorite once again on the men's side. The FloTrack rankings have the order Javon Harrison, Stephen McCarter, Jerian Lawson, Corey Crawford, Marquise Dendy, Jeffrey Henderson. That's our top 6. Find the other 4 on the FloTrack rankings by going to FloTrack.com. Plug. I think if you look at the rankings, Henderson and being down in 6 is kind of like a ooh, because Henderson hasn't really jumped much this season. And McCarter and up to in 2nd, it's kind of like, ooh, okay, can the Texas kid do it?
Yeah.
I think the only known, again, in this event is Harrison's going to make the team. I think he makes the team in both the high jump and the long jump. I think Lawson makes it, and then everyone gets to interview him about Shelby Houlihan. It's going to be great, and everyone's going to talk about beef and pork and all that good stuff from Mexican food trucks. Because for those who don't know, Jerian Lawson's lawyer, who got his 4-year sentence changed to 2 years, but basically annulled. It's the same lawyer that is trying to help out Shelby. Not sure if it's the same situation, but same lawyer. That's all. But yeah, I'm going with Harrison, McCarter, and Lawson for your top 3.
I'm putting more weight into this year, so I'm putting Henderson on that team. 839 is 3rd best in the world this year. He's clutch performer. He won the last trials in just an insane competition with a bunch of wind-aided jumps, but that was a real fun one. And then 3rd spot, I'm gonna go Dendy. 829 this year. Again, a lot of experience. Dendy just missed out. He was the odd man out in that competition in 2016 on a tiebreaker, I believe, which was kind of weird too because Clay beat him with the same jump, but his was wind aided and Dendy's was not. So I think some redemption here for Dendy. I think we're going to go Harrison, Henderson, Dendy for the long jump.
I'm changing my pick. I'm taking off McCarter and putting Dendy in. I'm allowed to do that.
No.
I'm allowed to do that. No.
This is official. Sorry.
Nope. The picks aren't locked in until the entire event's preview is complete, and we still have the women's preview to do, so I can still change it. So I'm going with Harrison, Lawson, Dendy, and you're doing Harrison, Henderson, Dendy.
Yeah. Women's side of things in the long jump. Tara Davis. Is she the top seed in your rankings? I know she's
Yeah,
has the
Davis.
best jump.
Yeah, FloTrack rankings have Tara Davis 1, Brittany Reese 2, Shaquila Saunders 3, Melina Payton 4, Couture Orgy 5, Jasmine Moore 6. Yeah,
Wait a
Davis
minute.
and Reese seem like pretty locks because Reese of her veteran presence has been pretty much made all the teams, and Tara Davis, who's the top athlete right now in the U.S.
It's interesting. The second best jumper in the U.S. this year is Kendall Williams, but she's not entered in the long jump. Right?
Yeah.
She's jumped 7 meters this week. So you're going Davis, Reese, and Saunders. I am not going to disagree. I'm going to run with that same group, and I think we could see a really cool competition in this meet, especially if Reese gets going. I mean, you know how solid she can be, how exciting she can be. So I'm looking forward to this event for sure. And Davis has been jumping well, and it'll be cool to see her in a field with some pros here. What's up next? 400.
We're moving up. We're moving up in distance.
Yeah, we
400.
keep rolling here, and it's kind of weird to go this strong. Like we're going heavy sprints, it's to be heavy distance, so we're gonna get half the people tuning out probably when we get to the 1500, or maybe half the people tuning in. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
that's the idea. People might have been skipping all the way to the 3K steeplechase or whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah, we got those steeple stands out there. All right, let's start with the women's 400 because, like I said before, I'm assuming Felix is going to run this event. I know other people have said differently, but I'm choosing to just go with my gut in terms of what she's doing, and I think she's going to run this race. The top 2 women this year in the United States, Athing Mo and Shamir Little, are not entered in the 400, which leaves Conera Hayes' 49.92 as the fastest time by an American this year. Then you have Irby at 50.29, Ellis at 50.3, Jessica Beer at 50.38, and then Felix at 50.68. Now, there's some people, when you look at the entry times, though, like Phyllis Francis is 49.6, but they haven't run that fast this year. Wadeline Jonathan's 4th at the World Championships in 2019, but hasn't broken 51 seconds this year. Before I make my pick, what other factors do you think should be weighed here in the women's quarter?
So I think the big factors are some of those top times in the entries are kind of weird, right? Cornelia Hayes, who I kind of doubted earlier in the year, and then she ran a 49. I was like, oh, okay. But after she ran that 49, she hasn't run since. So why don't you run for the past 2 months? It could be dealing with a nagging injury. And then someone like Phyllis Francis hasn't yet to break 52 seconds. Jonathan hasn't run as well as her PB says that she has run. A bunch of people scratched, like Kaylin Roberts scratched. Who else scratched? There's another top athlete that scratched. I have it off the top of my head. It's all right. I can't remember. But anyway.
Shakima Wembley.
Yeah, Shakima Wembley. And then you mentioned that Allison Felix might not run it. Where are you hearing that?
I mean, just it's mentioned every broadcast, basically on NBC, that she's going to be focused on the 200 this year. But I've heard from other people that she's going to run both that have talked to
what
people.
Events first?
The quarter in the first 4 days, and then the 200 in the second 4 days. And that's why it doesn't make any sense why she would not run the quarter, miss a chance to make the relay team. And we just talked about that women's 200. So in the 200, just to go back a little bit, you have Richardson obviously there, who if she runs, she's going to be the favorite. You have Sturgis, who just ran 22-1, and then you have Gabby Thomas, who beat her at Mount Sac, versus the 400, where all year I was saying, hey, I think she's going to have a shot in this if nobody else emerges and the NCAA doesn't produce somebody out of nowhere. Well, the NCAA produced an insane time. The good news for Allison Felix is she's not running the 400. So
she ain't going to be here anymore.
Yeah. To quote Magic Johnson, big track fan, by the way. Gosh, can we do more stories on Magic Johnson's tweet? I don't think we covered that enough. Anyway, So Mo's not going to be there. So then you look at the NCAA athletes, right? And then the next best person or the runner-up NCAA's, Talitha Diggs, 50.74. Well, obviously, Allison Felix can handle the 50.74. That's a different world than someone running 49.5. So I'm putting her on the team. I'm putting her, obviously, in this top three. I'm not sure if she's going to win, but I feel good about her. I feel good about Irby, and I'm going to pick, man, that last spot. That last spot is where it gets tricky. Is Francis going to be able to get back on track? Same thing with Jonathan. I'm going to go Jessica Beard for that third spot. So Irby, Felix, Beard.
That's an interesting.
Not the team you would have had last year.
Not the team you would have last year. One person that is kind of overlooked is Shea Anderson, UCLA athlete. She split 49.9 in the 4x4 at NCAAs. 49.9s don't grow on trees. Now, I'm not saying that's enough for her to put together 3 rounds in the 400. She's also coming back to run the 400 hurdles, so she's going to have a lot of running underneath her belt. But I think she could be a sneaky pick for a top 3 spot if someone falters. I do think Shea Anderson will be top 6. Waylon Jonathan is also a sleeper because she just hasn't run the 49-second runner that she is. But I'm going with Irby for the win, Ellis number 2, and can't believe I'm doing this. I'm picking Allison Felix in third. So I went from saying she's
going to go the other way. I thought you were going to go the other way here, and I was about to hang up. I thought you were going to put her off the team again after your big apology a couple weeks ago. I thought that's what you were going to do. I thought you were going to full circle.
No, so here's the thing. I get the best of both worlds because I'm going to pick her, and then if she makes a team where everything's good. But then if she doesn't make it, then I can be like, I told you so.
Okay, listen. Here's the thing.
The best of both worlds.
No, that's not allowed. You look at the entries, right, for this meet. Her seed is 6th.
Yeah.
Ahead of her though is Francis, whose time comes from
which is in real time. Yeah. And Jonathan, which is in a real time.
Well, Jonathan is entered at 51, which is kind of weird that she's entered at 51 and Francis is at 49.6. Regardless, Felix is going to outperform her seed when it comes time for the championship. I think it's fair to say. I think if it was a situation where she was seeded 10th, then this conversation would have more merit to it. But she's going to have, if she comes in as the 5th seed based on marks this year, which if you take out Mo, you take out Little, you got Hayes, Irby, Ellis, Beard, and she beat Beard this year. I just think you put Allison Felix in a championship setting, she's going to be fine.
Hey man, I have her third. You're going Irby, Felix, Beard, and I'm going Irby, Ellis, Felix. 400 men. The event that we thought we had 2 locks in, now we only have 1. No Fred Curley. Can't believe this is happening, but this is what Fred Curley does. He's going to be on the 100-meter team. He's going to be on the 4x1 instead of the 4x4. Maybe he'll still be on the 4x4. Hopefully he makes the 100 team so he can – or maybe he will get 6th in the 100, and so he's on the 4x1, and then he can also be on the 4x4 and on the mixed 4x4. So he could get 6th in the 100. He can run a total of 300 meters at the trials, right? Because it's 3 rounds, right? Is it 3 rounds? He can run 300 meters total at the trials and then be eligible to be on 3 gold-winning relays.
He just becomes the utility relay runner.
Utility man.
He's just plugging in the spot. He's the ultimate glue guy out there. I like that. I think this one's easy. Men's 400. I think it's easy. I think it's Norman. I think it's Ross. I think it's Cherry. Seal that.
Cherry.
Put it in the bank. Those are the 3 going to Tokyo.
Why so confident in Cherry?
Got a PB this year. I think he's got a good experience, a combo, of experience and still improving. And I don't think you don't need to run 44.1 to make the team this year. And he got that 44.37. I think he'll be good throughout the rounds. He's done this a bunch of times. And Ross, 43.85 last week. I don't know if he'll match that, but again, he could slow down and still make the team. So Norman, Ross, Cherry, put that one in the bank.
Okay, hear me out. Multi-time team maker, has won multiple medals. LaShawn Merritt. What are your thoughts?
It's a great story. He's been running for decades. I think if he gets to the final, it would be an amazing accomplishment. But I mean, Cherry's, again, like I said, 44-37 this year, 44-74, 26 years old. I mean, look at like 2019, he was 6th at this meet. 2017, he was 6th at the meet. 2016, he made the semis. I mean, he's done this before. And I think in a year where there's that extra open spot, I think he takes advantage of it.
Yeah. I wasn't being serious about Merritt. I wasn't letting you use Merritt to juxtapose Cherry's potential of making the team.
Well, I don't know.
But I think it's funny that Merritt's in this race. Gil Roberts, who hasn't run it all year, has an auto entry because he finished top 3 in 20, I think, or something like that. He's qualified. There's some other guys who have been in the mix but haven't really had that great of a season. Will London, he's made a team. Kamari Montgomery, Nathan Strother, Justin Robinson, he's the high school kid, and the other college kids. The FloTrack rankings, he's out of high school now. Yeah, sure. He's a fresh. Yeah, I keep on thinking it's 2019. That's my problem. The FloTrack rankings go Norman, Ross, then Noah Williams, Bryce Dedman, Trevor Stewart, Michael Cherry, Vernon Norwood, Elijah Godwin. I believe in Norman and Ross. I think Williams.
Oh, you're going to pick Williams?
I'm going to pick Williams. So I'm going Norman. I think Williams gets 2nd, and then Ross gets 3rd. So Norman, Williams, and Ross. So I went from putting Williams and Felix out in the pasture to now having them both in Tokyo on my 400-meter team.
The college group here is strong because the college group is always strong in this event. And you have Dedman, Williams, Stewart, and Ross. And I guess Godwin in there as well, too. And then the veteran group, you'd have Montgomery, Strother, Cherry, Norwood, and London. And then you have Norman again as the one who's going to be a lock to make the team. But I mean, I like your picks. I could see Noah Williams doing well, but I feel strongly that Cherry's going to come up with a big race when he needs to and at least match his season best. I think that will be enough. Let's move on.
So for those just tuning in live to the podcast or scrolling through, we're on the triple jump now, and then we'll do 400 hurdles, then the shot put, then the 800, and we work our way up all the way up to the
10K,
the 10K and javelin throw. So we're working our way up in distance on the track and on the field. So we're now on the men's and women's triple jump. Excuse me.
Let's start with the men. Will Clay, top seed, entered at 18.14. Obviously, this event is missing 6-time gold medalist Christian Taylor. Ruptured his Achilles. Wish him a speedy recovery. Donald Scott is the number 2 seed with 17.43, and then Chris Bernard, 3rd with 17.85. Will Clay's going to make it. Obviously, he's going to win. Other 2 spots, I think, are... Well, I guess Donald Scott, I feel good about him for 2nd. So is it really up to the 3rd? Is the 3rd spot open, or do you think Bernard has got it too? Is this event just going to go down the line, straight chalk here?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Carter could come up and do well. I like Sean Dixon Bodie of LSU. He's done well in the collegiate scene. There was another athlete that could have been in this, Omar Craddock, but he got suspended for, I think, a whereabouts failure. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was whereabouts, but he would have been in the mix to be top 3. It just sucks, man. No Christian Coleman. We don't. Yeah. I'm not. Excuse me. No Christian Coleman. No Christian Taylor. I love watching Taylor Clay go at it.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Hopefully they're still in it in 2022 and we get to see him go at it in Eugene. But anytime you get to see Clay and Taylor like just go back and forth, jump 5, then jump 4, then jump 5, then jump 6, it's always great. Clay's the overwhelming favorite here with no Taylor. There's not much depth after the top 2 or 3, to be honest. So you're kind of slim pickings. I mean, you have Alfonso Jordan, who's jumped well. This guy, who has the greatest last name in the history of triple jumping, Anthony Applequist. Isn't that a great name?
There you go.
Anthony Applequist. He's ranked 9th. Check out the full rankings on FloTrack. I'm going to trust the rankings. I did them at 4 a.m. last night. Reminder. Just want you guys all to know that. But yeah, Will Clay, Donald Scott, Chris Bernard are going to be my top 3.
And that was the order at Mount Sac. So I think let's just run that back again in that same order. Clay, Scott, Bernard. Women's triple jump. Couture Orgy. Tori Franklin. Those two have traded the American record by my count 1,200 times in the last couple of years. It's been amazing. It's like every couple of days you can write it. But Jasmine Moore's looked really good as well, too. What do your rankings say, Gordon?
Yeah, the rankings say Orgy, Moore, Franklin as our top 3. And the women's triple jump is the ultimate off a cliff after you get past the top 3. Orgy, Moore, and Franklin are just playing a different game than the rest of the field is, with Lanika Pitts, Amani Oliver, Michelle Folcom, Bria Matthews, Tatiana Marsh. It's just like the odds of Franklin, Moore, and Orgy not putting together at least one jump that is indicative of their talent. Mm-hmm. They're going to have 6 strides. They're going to at least one time be able to show that they are a 14-meter plus athlete. And I think those 3 do it at the trials. And I think it's going to be Orgy, Moore, and Franklin as my top 3.
Yeah, Pitts' season best and Folcom's season best isn't too far behind Franklin, but that's more because Franklin just hasn't had that big one yet. I think she's obviously capable of something much farther. Orgy right there with 14 at 92. Yeah, I'll switch the order a little bit though. I think Franklin will get second ahead of Moore, but I have Orgy getting the win here. Yeah, that 14.92 was that's her best jump of her life, and it was this year. So I think you feel good about her going into Tokyo. So I'll just flip those 2 if you're writing these down. Couture Orgy,
I am.
Tori Franklin. Orgy, Franklin, and then Moore. Let's go to the 4-meter hurdles. The event that we've been talking about for a couple of years now, both domestically and internationally. Let's save the women for second here. Let's start with the men. There was a wrench thrown in the men's 4-meter hurdles when Sean Burrell went off at NCAA's smashed 48 seconds. I said at the time, that was enough to put him on the team for me. Now, in the moment, you get carried away, you get excited, you put a bunch of weight onto what you just saw. But that's not the case here, Gordon. In fact, I feel even better a couple of days later about Sean Burrell. He is definitely making this team behind Rye Benjamin. Third spot, though, I think is wide open. Kenny Selman, I feel good about. He's just been running for a while this year, putting some performances out there that you have to feel solid about. Not a collegian. But Isaiah Levinson, Cameron Samuel, Trevor Bassett, Amir Latin, CJ Allen, Khalifa Rosser, and Quincy Hall. That's the top 10. What's your order?
Yeah, so the FloTrack ranking is Benjamin 1, Burrell 2, Selman 3, Levinson 4, Latin 5, and Quincy Hall 6. You can check out 7 through 20 on our website. Little plug. I think, Rye Benjamin obviously is going to win. Sean Burrell, I think he's going to be able to handle continuing the momentum a week later and still finish in the top 3. And then that third spot, I think, is there's a lot of talent, but no talent has really turned and become the 48-2 type athlete or the 47 high, where we can be like, oh, yeah, you're the number 3 spot. But they've all shown glimpses of that sometime in their career. Kenny Selman has always been consistent. Amir Latin made the team in 2019. Quincy Hall, he was dominating the college scene and then didn't run USA's in 2019. So I think I'm going to go with Quincy Hall for the third spot because I've always believed in him and I thought he was like the next Rai Benjamin. And then he almost became that when he won NCAAs, but then he didn't do USA, so we never got to truly see his full formation. He hasn't run that well this year, but I think he's run well enough that he's going to put together at USA. So I'm going with Benjamin 1, Sean Burrell 2, and Quincy Hall 3.
So I'm looking at TJ Holmes. He's only run 51.2 this year.
Yeah.
And he's seeded way up there because he ran 48.20 a couple of years ago. You look at Selman, he's run 6 races this year already in the 4-meter hurdles, which is great, but it also gives you a pretty good baseline so you know what to expect from him. So I guess if you think, hey, 48.8 is enough to qualify, then you'd feel good about him. But if you think if you think you're going to need to run faster, Trevor Bassett maybe. What do you think of Trevor Bassett? Ashland?
Yeah, I have him ranked 9th in the FloTrack rankings. He's kind of under the radar. But I think he's under the radar to finish 4th or 5th. I don't think he's under the radar to finish 3rd.
I think it's going to be that type of performance, though. It's going to be somebody completely off the radar. I mean, he ran 48.8 as well, too, and he did it just recently. So, heck, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to do it. Benjamin, Burrell, Bassett, men's 4-meter hurdles.
You and the Bs. The 400 hurdles and the 100 going all Bs.
That's the strategy. Listen.
That's strategy.
I apply science to this, Gordon. That's why I bet my house on Noah Lyles, and then he decided not to run fast this year. Please, Noah. Please. I'm begging you. Women's race. Okay. I mean, again, let's not overcomplicate things. Or maybe we do want to overcomplicate things. Obviously, Sydney, we feel great about her based on her history and her 4-meter hurdle race this year when she ran 50.283. Muhammad, world record holder. Her season best is only 54.50, but I'm going to trust her to get it done. And then I think Shamir Little, 53.12 this year. She's run under 50 seconds in the quarter. I don't really know what the order is. You could convince me. I don't think Sydney goes any lower than 2, but with the other 2, you could swap them around, and I wouldn't be shocked just because of how well Little's running, and we just don't know what true shape Muhammad is in. But it's going to be those 3. I'll say it goes McLaughlin, Muhammad, Little. I'll be somewhat boring with my pick and say those 3 in that order.
Yeah, I think it's going to be those 3. I think McLaughlin winning it, though, is going to be kind of like the changing of the guard because Muhammad has always had one upped on McLaughlin and all like the major events, and except for like a Diamond League here or there. So I think McLaughlin wins easily, handedly, and I think it's like the new, like, all right, I am now the new number 1 in the U.S. 400-meter hurdle. I think Little gets second because she's been dominating. Muhammad, all right. This is where I think chaos could happen. So the FloTrack rankings have McLaughlin, Little, Muhammad 3, Cockrell 4, Shea Anderson 5, Ashley Spencer 6. I think after that, it's kind of like anyone and anyone. I think Cockrell's going to make the 100-meter team, 100-meter hurdle team. And I think the 100-meter hurdles is first, right? It is. Or
in this meet?
Is it first?
Are you talking about in this meet or the Olympics? Which one are you talking about?
This meet.
The 100 hurdles is before the 400 hurdles, yes.
Okay. So I think Anna Cockrell makes the 100-meter hurdle team. And then I think she's like, I'm in, right? And I think she's either going to scratch the 400 hurdles or just not be as like, all right, I'm in the Olympics. I'm going up against McLaughlin, Little, and Muhammad. I don't need to go crazy. I don't want to hurt myself. So take her out. Ashley Spencer has been running well. I think it could be wild, and you could see someone like a Shea Anderson get 3rd in this race. I know it's insane because Little, McLaughlin, and Muhammad are not just all-time greats, but like historical, right? You take Muhammad out.
Oh, well, no. Here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. This is going to be the
crazy things happen.
This
year could be that moment where Dalilah Muhammad just for some reason has a bad race, and we're like, holy shit, how is the world record holder getting 4th to Shea Anderson? And everyone's going to be flipping out. I'm telling you, it could happen.
Listen,
this is the moment. This could be that moment.
Listen. Okay, listen. Every championship, there's at least one race where we go in with doubts about somebody, and they do their prelim, and then we go, oh, okay, yeah, they're fine. And that's going to be the women's 4-meter hurdles because Muhammad is going to jog a 54 low. Like she's going to shut it down after the last hurdle, and we're going to feel stupid forever thinking that she's not going to finish in the top 3. I think there's a chance that she gets 3rd. I think there's a chance that she gets 2nd. I don't think, obviously, she's unbeatable based on the fact that she's lost before and what Sydney's done this year. But dropping her out of the top 3 too far, she will make the team. And I'm gonna go the order of McLaughlin, Little, and then Muhammad.
Hey,
Sorry,
I'm
Muhammad,
going with McLaughlin, Little, Muhammad. So like I'm going with the same top 3, but I'm just putting it out there.
I think you're being tricked. I think she's tricking you.
Moment. She thinks she's tricking me? Okay.
Yeah, she's roping you in, and then it's going to become very clear after the first. Here, call me, Gordon. Let me look at the schedule. When is this? We don't even need to wait till the second round. This is going to be clear in the first round. You're just going to watch her go over the hurdles, and you're going to be like, oh, okay. And it's going to be 3:36 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, June 25th, when you're like, oh, yep, okay. Yep, Muhammad is still Muhammad. There was really no reason to doubt her. And it's going to be
I'm just saying, you say there's always the athlete we underestimate and then shows that they're there, sure. They're fine. There's also the athlete that shocks us all and doesn't make the team. Because Kenny Harrison did not make the team. She's the world record holder. And she got 4th in the 100-meter hurdles. Hurdles are weird. People fall in the 9th hurdle or the 8th. Things happen. Or the 8th hurdle. I'm just saying.
Do you know who's really consistent, though, all the time? Is Dalilah Muhammad.
Yes,
I
know.
That doesn't really happen to is Dalilah Muhammad. Hey. Shot put time. Gordon, tell me about this men's race. The men's competition.
The men's race of shot put?
They're going to run around the curve and then shot put.
Shot put basically they throw the shot around the 400-meter track and then they go up, pick it up, and you can't run with the shot. You got to throw it. And the first person to throw 400 meters wins. That'll be actually fun. The first one to throw 400 meters? It'd be like,
I got Krauser.
That's a lot of throwing. Yeah.
I got Krauser.
Krauser's the favorite. Kovacs, second. Daryl Hill, right now, FloTrack rankings have 3rd. Then Josh Owontudi, I don't know if I say his last name correct. 4th. Oderdahl, 5th. Liskowitz, the Michigan kid, 6th. Pippery, Texas kid, 7th. Matt Katnick, 8th. Jordan Geist, 9th. And Darius King, 10th. That's our top 10. Yeah. I could see Kovacs beating Krauser, but Krauser, man, he's just living a different world right now. I think he can throw it blind. I don't know. He could do some crazy acrobatic trick, like circus trick because of his confidence. He could literally purposely foul the first 2 attempts, then just lollygag the 3rd attempt to make the final, then foul 2 more attempts, and then just throw it all on that 6 and be like, hey, there's 23 meters. Thank you. Have a good night.
I'm looking forward to that. That is an interesting way to interpret that. I'm going to go Krauser, Kovacs, Hill for my 3.
All right, so we're going same order?
Yeah. Women's side of
things. They've been pretty much dominating. It's kind of hard to go against those 3.
Women's side of things, a little more interesting there. A little more parity on the women's.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Ely has one of the top seeds, but I don't think she's been throwing as well this specific season. A lot of her big marks are from 2019. I think Maggie Ewan has a big breakout. I have her ranked 1st in the FloTrack rankings. 2nd, I have Aquila. 3rd, I have Jessica Woodard. 4th, I have Johnson. 5th, I have Jessica Ramsey. Notable athletes like Raven Saunders and Michelle Carter, I don't have ranked in the top 5. Carter, the Olympic champion, 2016, could put together a good throw, but I'm going chalk on my rankings. Ewan, Aquila, and Woodard.
I'm looking at Carter's season marks here. She's only thrown once in 2021. 1694, and then 2020 she only threw once. So her last full season, 2019, she ran it. She threw 1885. Man, I think
This is you slowly realizing.
Johnson, Ewan. You said Ely for third, or you don't have Ely on the team?
I'm going Ewan, Aquila, and Woodard.
Okay, I'm going. Let's go crazy here. Let's just go completely, almost separate here.
Do it.
I'm gonna go Ely, Johnson, Ewan.
Ely,
how about that?
Johnson, and Ewan. All right.
Yeah, there it is. Next up, 800
distance events. 800. Right, we're all the way up to the 800 now. Woo.
To the men first here. Brazier.
We get a timer on this team, so we don't go too crazy. Timer, start.
Yeah, no, we're not
5
going
minutes.
to. We're not going to. Eventually, Colt, the producer's just going to get in our ear and say, "Okay, guys, stop," and it's going to be right before the fight.
Well, we can't diminish the other. We can't diminish events. We got to treat every event equally. All right, so we're not going to rush the very last events.
Pod has always been the criticism of our pod has always been you guys don't talk about distance events enough. I feel like that's always been something that
we got to give a fair preview. Come on, no, we're not going to.
We've been talking about the 800 all year. We've been talking about the 800 all year. You got let me break this down for everybody and for you, Gordon. Right. You got Brazier and Hoppel locks. You have then one spot open between Murphy, Harris, and then the two collegians, Jewett and Miller. That's it. That's the breakdown. You disagree?
No. Maybe. I don't know. What about Shane Strike of Lipscomb coming in hot and kicking hard and having a crazy final 100 meters? That could happen.
What about Finley and McClear? What about all the NCAA guys that you gave American citizenship to? What about them? No.
Shane is actually an American. Shane's actually an American.
I know, but I just want to name some other folks. I think it's between that group of four. I mean, you have Michael Rhodes, who's run 145 2. He's been in the mix. Cameron Jones has run 145 4, but I think you got to look at the hot hands in Jewett and Miller, and then you got to look at the stalwarts in Murphy and Harris. And I'm gonna go Harris to get it done. So I'm gonna say Harris. Brazier, Hoppel, Harris, my top three.
Another athlete to keep in mind, Jonah Koech, who recently switched citizenship from Kenya to USA. He was pretty good at UTEP. I don't know. He's run 146, so it's like respectable, but maybe he can crazily show up and like, hey, look, I can finish top 3. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm trying to think of any other person to think about. Brandon Kidder, he's made a team, but he hasn't been running as fast lately. I'm going with Brazier 1, Hoppel 2, and I'm going with Isaiah in third. That's right, Isaiah. That's all I need to say. His name's Isaiah. Is his last name Jewett? Is his last name Harris? We don't know. But his first name's Isaiah, and so I'm just picking Isaiah to finish third, kind of hedging my bets.
Are you excited about – I feel like we should be more excited about the Hoppel versus Brazier battle, and I feel like we're not as excited as we should be. And I don't know why that is.
Well, I think we're not excited because we're more excited about seeing them face off at the Olympics. Like, they're just so good and so much better that like this is their prelim. It's like okay, cool. They're not like this is their prelim. Yeah, they're gonna want to win because you say Olympic champ, but like, hey, they just want to get ready to get to the Tokyo final, and then that is their final. That's when they match up.
So. In the chat, DC Noel says his predictions that Jewett rabbits Brazier to a massive time in the final. Hope he can hang on for third. I think that's going to be interesting, just who gets to the final, because that's going to have a huge impact on how that race plays out. And with Jewett and Miller in the race, it's going to be quick, and obviously that would, make it a 144 low / 143 race. Probably definitely a 143 race for whoever wins it. And that could make things pretty interesting in terms of just an aggressive race from the gun. So I hope he gets through just for that reason alone. And I think, again, he can hang on. I think that's a possibility as well there too. It's tough though to come back just a week later in the 800. Pretty taxing to go through 3 rounds. It's not like they had a hard final. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
There was nothing conserved in the final. So that's why I'm a little more confident to go with someone like Harris, who will be a bit fresher, I think.
So we're both doing Brazier, Hopple, and then you're going with Harris third. I'm going with Jewett third. But as I say this sentence in complete form, I am going to switch my Jewett pick, and I'm going to put Murphy. I'm going to put Murphy in third. I'm kind of disrespecting him in the rankings, putting him fifth in the rankings. I got to put more respect on Clayton Murphy. So I'm putting Murphy back in third. So Clayton Murphy is my third pick.
Your pick changed 3 times. You picked both Isaiahs for third, which was physically impossible. Then you picked just Jewett, and then you picked Murphy.
Just Jewett? Just Jewett.
And then,
Nike. There you go.
And then you settled on Clayton Murphy. All right, women's 800. A Thing Mo, Ajay Wilson. It's going to be exciting. I feel good about those two, and then it is going to be an absolute brawl for that last spot because you have so many people in the 158, 159 range here, Gordon, between Rogers, Green, Sutherland, Grace, Price, McGee, Wilson, McLean, Edwards, Martinez, and then Sinclair Johnson and Eleanor Purrier are both entered as well, too.
So before we get to that third spot, I want to talk about 2 things. One, is Ajay Wilson the favorite? Do you believe Ajay Wilson's the favorite?
Yes.
Okay, so even though she hasn't really run that dominatingly and she hasn't run consistently 158s, you still just pedigree, give her a benefit of doubt that she's won? I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a better lifetime best than Mo. She's more experienced than her, and she's run 158.9 this year. It's not like she hasn't run anything fast. It hasn't been as fast as a Thing Mo, but yes, I'm going to go with Ajay Wilson. I would say she's the favorite. Yeah.
Second thing, with regards to the Thing Mo, we talked about this in the NCAA podcasts. She's run like 20 plus 400s. She's only run like 4 800s. And
yeah.
What are the basically? I know they're not connected, but I'd like to find a way to connect them. There was another really good Texas A&M freshman 800 meter runner who was coming off of running 143 and then got knocked out in the first round.
We're still doing this. We're still doing this.
No, but I do think we should talk about. Do you think there's a chance that her youth?
How long are we doing this?
Can hurt her?
No.
You think it's 100%? She is already like a lock. There's no chance for rookie mistakes.
Correct, because she's not a rookie at this level. Okay. She ran 2019 USAs. She's run world competitions, and she's just so much more established than Brazier was at this age. Not the same comparison at all.
All right, you nailed that.
I've been saying that for months now. That's why I don't know why I need to keep talking about it.
Hey, no, we need to bring it up because this is the mega preview pod.
Okay,
so
good. Maybe people missed it the first 7 times I said it this year.
Yes,
she's not Donovan Brazier. They wore the same jersey in their freshman. That's about it, and they run the same event. Other than that,
I did ask Donovan in the pre-race press conference if he had any advice for Thing Mo. And he agreed with you. He said, like, she's not the same athlete that I was. She's clearly he was like, she's a lot better than I was when I was a freshman. So,
yeah.
And I mean, she got 5th at 2019, so she has gone through rounds. The more and more you look at it. Yeah. I agree with you. I think Mo's second, so I'm going Wilson and Mo. Big question is that third spot. So, on paper, resume overall, you should give it to Raven Rogers. But for some reason, Raven Rogers hasn't really had that strong of a regular season. I don't know what it is, but she's been struggling a bit, you could argue. And then you have someone like, so I kind of don't want to put Rogers on my team for that reason. My third pick, I'm going to go what my rankings produced, and I'm going to go with Kate Grace. I think she's a vet. I think this is going to be her redemption for choosing the wrong event in 2019 because she would have been on the 2019 800-meter team if she would have entered it, but she chose to do the 1500. So now she's staying focused. Now she might think the other way around because now the 1500 has no Shelby. So now she's like, oh, I should have done the 15 regardless. But I'm going Kate Grace for that third spot.
Yeah, I was wondering why she scratched the 15 in light of the news as well too. But anyway, I think this one is race style dependent because we have so many people so close together. So when you close your eyes and we know a lot about the two principals in this race, what sort of race do you envision? You're not close there.
I envision. I sorry for the yawn. For those who don't know, I stay up to 4 a.m. making these rankings. I think it's going to go out honest, and I think Ajay Wilson's going to take it out with a thin mower on her shoulder.
A big point of emphasis for Wilson, and she said it in a couple interviews, is that she wants to be able to adapt to a bunch of different race styles. She just doesn't want to have one plan that she has every single time that she sticks to. She wants to be able to go hard and win that way, come from behind, close, cover moves. That's something that she's been working on. So it's not like, oh, Wilson's in the race, it's going to be fast from the gun. But I think between her and Mo, someone's going to go hard out the gate. And they are both capable of running 155. So they might go out. I'm hypothesizing here. So if you want to disagree with me, that's fine. So I think it's going to be the person who wins. It's going to be a either hang on for dear life situation, or it's going to be who can do a killer close and pass a lot of people who win out over their head. And I think if it's the latter, that plays into Raven Rogers's strengths a bit because we know how good her close is over the final 200. And if it's the former, I don't know who that because the race gets so mucked up at that point. It's hard to predict who can fall apart the least.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Brendan Martinez is a wild card. She has the experience. She's only run one race and it was a sub 2. Maybe she's just staying super fresh. Maybe she's on that Jen Scher plan where it's like it's better to be fresh than over. Who I don't care about rust or whatever. But yeah, I'm going Kate Grace. That's who I'm picking. Who are you picking?
I think I'm going to go Rogers.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go Rogers. I know, like, I'm looking at the races this year. She's got a third, a fifth, and a sixth. And she's got a couple 159s. But there's so many 159s in here. And you can find shortcomings with everybody's performances here. You can find bright spots about everybody's seasons as well, too. So I'll stick with Rogers. So I'm going to go Wilson, Mo, Rogers is the team.
Roger that. All right.
Okay.
Next event, men's and women's discus throw. Give some love to the field events. So the current FloTrack rankings on the men's side, Reggie Yeagers is 1, Turner Washington, college kid from Arizona State 2, Cord Ferguson 3, Brian Williams 4, Mason Finley 5. Keeping in mind, when it comes to the discus throw on the men's side, not many people have the standard. There are 6 guys with the standard. No, excuse me. Yeah, 6 guys with the standard. No, 4, 5. I'm all over the place. Jagers, Mattis, Finley, Washington, and Ferguson have the standard. So it's going to be 3 of those 5 that probably make the team. I mean, there's a chance the college kid, Turner Washington, could upset Jagers, but Jagers has been throwing really well. He has going back to 2019, a best of 67-82. So yeah, I think it's going to go Jagers. I think Washington makes a team. He's focusing on a discus throw. He scratched a shot put for this reason. And Cord Ferguson in third sounds like a boy band member. Right? Doesn't sound like he should be like the 6th member of NSYNC. Cord Ferguson here.
So you got Jagers. You got Jagers, Washington, Ferguson?
And yeah.
Okay. I'll go Jagers, Washington, Finley for my top 3. What about the women?
So on the women's side, Valerie Allman is a super lock. She's been
Yeah.
dominating. It's a cliff after her. And then there's been a lot of people who've been in the U.S. picture for some time now. You have, I can't say her last name, Laluga Tusaga. Did I get that right?
Tasaga. Yeah.
Laluga
Mm-hmm.
Tusaga, former Iowa athlete. Kelsey Card in fourth. You have Dinkoff, Gabby Jacobs, Hazelwood. I'm just listing off a bunch of names now. People are like, "Oh, I don't know who these people are." But the people to watch out for, obviously, Allman, who could always flirt with an American record in the discus. Dinkoff in second, and then Tusaga in third. I'm going to go chalk here in the discus throw. Got to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, don't know much about the discus throw. Too many events to keep track, but I do know that Valerie Allman is legitimate, and she potentially could make a Tokyo final and flirt with potentially being in a mix to medal, I think.
Yep. Almond, Dinkoff, Tasaga. All right. There we go.
Is that what you're doing?
Yep. Next up, 1,500.
Yeah.
Men,
Moving
women.
on up.
Where do you want to start with it? Where do you want to start with the 1,500?
Start with the elephant in the room. Start with the women.
Okay, women's 1,500. Listen, we did a whole podcast yesterday reacting to the Shelby suspension. So we're not going to go too much into that now because we are way over time and we've already discussed it. So, well, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to add anything? Is there anything new?
Well, do you think?
Talk about
I think the thing to discuss is, does her absence? Do you think it has any change on the way the race is going to play out at all, or do you think it's kind of still with El Perrier still there? There's still a sub-4 runner in the mix that like it's still going to play out the way it would have played out even with Shelby in the race.
Well, I mean, Shelby was going to close hard. I don't think she was going to get up there in front run. So from that perspective, it's not changing too much, but there's going to be one more spot available. That's pretty clear because I was going to feel pretty good about picking Shelby. I think Perrier is for sure on the team. I wonder about some of these people who were entered in the 15 and the 5, specifically Elise Cranny, because I think she would go in the 5 and not the 15, but you could make an argument for her making the 1,500 meter team. Do you have any read on that one way or the other?
I think if you're entered in the 15, you're doing the 15 because the 15 prelims are before the 5. And so I think you do the people who are entered in both the 15 and the 5, the 5K is the backup. Okay. If you're in both. So if you're trying to do the 5K, you don't enter the 15. That's why like Carissa Schweizer scratched the 15 because she's doing the 5-10. So I think Cranny's doing the 15 10K double.
So she's doing the Sifan Hassan double.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, and that's obviously interesting to me, in part because a 15-10 double is crazy, even though the fact that they like it was done by Sifan Hassan, but just the fact that she ran so fast in the 10K, you think that she'd do the 5 over the 15. So
I think the one thing we should think about is, I know running is a mental game, right? It's a big mental game. We're now previewing the events that involve Bowerman athletes. Do you think the Shelby suspension is going to have any mental, negative, positive impact? I don't know, on the Bowerman athletes. Like, do you think they're going to be stressed? Kind of, I don't know. Like, it's a lot to have your star teammate go out for 4 years, and now you got to get ready for an Olympic trials. I mean, you saw what happened to Clayton Murphy with the whole Salazar thing. He kind of like bombed in that Doha final, and you could clearly tell there's things going on. Do you think that's a factor? Do you think that could be a negative factor to some of these Bowerman athletes?
I mean, it's impossible to tell. I mean, some more than others because there was other. I mean, Sifan Hassan did pretty well in Doha.
Sure,
it didn't really seem to impact her. So some more than others. I think the issue with Bowerman is just like there's not as many people here, right? Because you had Jaeger, who scratched, right? You had Quigley and Grace who aren't with the group anymore. Like the numbers are a lot smaller than we anticipated when we headed into the season with Shelby. So I think Puryear's on the team.
Yes, agree. I think she
I
wins.
think that Osika is an intriguing pick. She's pretty consistent at 4 flat. And then Simpson is lurking there as well too.
Simpson's
And
not
I don't
lurking. No, come on, no.
if she's
She just
in
got
the
beat by
finals.
Daniel Aragon. She got beat by Daniel Aragon.
If she's
And
lurking, lurking is the wrong
come
word.
on.
Her experience is lurking.
Yeah, all
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna go. All right, do you want to pick? Is that what you want?
Yeah. Do you want me to go? Should I tell you my picks and then you can cheat off of my homework? Is that what you want me to do? I could go first
No,
if that's what you
this
need.
one's hard to this one's hard to sort out here. So what do you think?
I'm going Purier to win. Elise Cranny gets second, and then Osika gets third. I think that's what happens.
I'm
So
gonna go.
Purier, Cranny, Osika.
I'm gonna go Puryear, McGee.
McGee.
Yeah, Puryear,
You think
McGee,
Corey
and I
McGee's gonna get
think
second?
yep, and I think Sinclair Johnson is gonna get it. She's run really good 800s. Her 1500s haven't been quite as sharp, but I think she'll put it together. Yeah, I'm going completely. Other than Puryear, we're going completely different. Oh,
I thought you
all
would
right,
give
men.
me like a Schlofterhoffen or McLean or Nikki Hiltz, but McGee, I'm like, all right.
There we go.
Might as well. You should go. If you could go with McGee, you should go with Sarah Lancaster, Austinite. That's what you should be doing. For those who don't know, Sarah Lancaster, great story. She's Texas athlete who was on a tennis team, basketball team, and then late in her life, in her 30s, is like, I'm gonna take up running, and now is in qualified both the 15 and the 5K, and super like undertrained. Like she has this greatest potential ever because she wasn't like running out of her mind in her 20s, and I think she's going to make this final, which is incredible for your third sport that you choose in your career. You're able to make the U.S. final, which I think would be crazy if she does. Sarah Lancaster, maybe she sneaks in on the team from Austin, Texas. But yeah, Danny Jones is also an athlete I think should give a little love because I think she's having a low key, super strong season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
it's tough to figure
I
this
could
out.
see, yeah, I have her getting fourth. So
I mean, Puryear is really the only one who's separated herself, and
yeah,
you know, like Simpson. If Simpson had run a 4:02, we would have said, okay, that plus the experience, we'll feel good about her. But she didn't run that fast, and she lost. So now we're thinking, okay, it's only Puryear that we think is a lock on this squad. Okay, men's side of things. We've been talking about this event for months now because there's been so many storylines, be it what Centro doing, be it the high schooler, Hobbs Kessler, be it the collegians, Nagus and Hawker and Tier. So now we've arrived at the moment of truth. Men's 1500, Gordon.
Well, first of all, when I did these rankings on FloTrack at 4 a.m. For those who don't,
Wait, did you do them at 4 a.m.? I don't think
I did them at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's fun when you do these rankings because I have to do everyone based off of if they declared, and I'm like, I can't like know that someone is obviously going to scratch, so that's why I ranked Norman second in the 200. But Donovan Brazier is declared, and I don't think he's going to end up running it. I think he kind of hedged when we asked him, like, "Yo, we'll see how I feel. You're not running it." But if he does, I have him getting fifth in this race. Where do you think Brazier would finish if he were to actually run all 3 rounds in this race? Do you think he would be good enough to finish top 3?
First of all, when I asked him about that at the press conference, I think it's funny because no one will ever say, "Oh yeah, it's just only my backup plan."
Yeah.
But then you ask them after, it's like, I had no intention of running. So he says all the things that people always say in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely an option. I'm keeping my options open. Fifth, yeah. He could finish fifth for sure. I'll do my picks since you're just filibustering again here.
No, man.
I'm gonna go Centrowitz, Angles, Hawker.
I'm going with Centrowitz, Hawker, Angles. And
I thought you were going to go Nagoose.
I thought about it. But Hawker just straight up beat him, man. He just straight up beat him.
Also,
In
we did
the
a whole thing about not sleeping on Henry Wynn. He's my dark horse here. I want to mention Henry Wynn again here.
Okay. I have Nagoose getting fourth. I think Nagoose is going to get outleaned by Engels. I think Hawker and Central are going to pull away, and then there's going to be a battle for that third spot. And I think there's going to be a lean, and Engels is going to get the lean over Nagoose. Where do you think Kessler finishes in this race?
I think after the season he's had, I think we should be realistic with expectations. He's navigating rounds here. I think if he makes the final and gets top 10, it's a great result here. So I put him in the 6 to 10 range. I think it would be a spectacular result, because you can't just look at it's 1500. You can't just look at a time and say, okay, for sure they're going to get in. You got to look at the whole resume here, and experience is obviously a big part of it. I remember he did fall earlier this year in that race in Texas. So not to say that, that could have been just a fluke accident, may not even had anything to do with positioning, but those are the sorts of things that, happen in these sorts of races. I don't remember being this excited about a US 1500 in a very long time, just with the amount of different ways that this can go. This is going to be a fun race.
Yeah, especially the college guys with the vets and Engels and Centro. And then you have you mentioned your sleepers win. Then you have like Josh Thompson, who we're kind of just like, because he hasn't really done much in the regular season. We're kind of forgetting that he was a top 3 guy in 2019. Eric Avila's run a couple meets. Clayton Murphy will only be a factor if he doesn't make the 800 team. He'll be running for blood if he doesn't make the 800. So you gotta think he's a factor. And then you have.
Let me do this. Let me do this game. I'm going to read a name, and you tell me if you'd be stunned if they made holy crap. Let's do the holy crap test here. Okay. So Centro, obviously not. Engels, Win.
No, I wouldn't be holy crap. No.
Kessler.
Yes, I would be holy crap.
Vincent Sietti. I'm just going on the qualifier list here.
Yes, I would be holy crap.
Nagoose.
No.
Thompson.
No.
Kidder.
Yeah.
Gregoric.
No, I would not be surprised if he made it.
Hawker.
No, I would not be surprised.
Eric Avila.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Prakel.
Yes, I would be surprised.
Colby
Actually,
Alexander.
no, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, because it's at 1500, right?
Yeah,
and then
Colby
Brazier and
I would be surprised.
Brazier,
Blankenship, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, but I mean, he's made a team. So my point is,
he hasn't run though. He hasn't run all year.
Yeah, my point here is it's a 1500, so it's going to be wild. Even though we've had these clear stars emerge and these people who have been running really fast for a long time. If you told me that Hawker gets beat by Eric Avila, right, or Hobbs Kessler beats Craig Engels, it's not going to be a huge shock just based on how this event's been going. Let's keep it going here.
Keep it going.
We are so far over time. Sorry, Colt.
It's fine. It's fine. Here. So, Colt, just so you know, there's six events left. We got 6 events to go. This is track and field.
And just so you know, Colt, producer Colt, Gordon stayed up till 4 a.m. to do the rankings. I don't know if you've heard that yet. So this is all. Yeah, you actually did.
We're not gonna half-ass any of these events just because it's the end of the pod. We got to keep them. We have to pretend. We have to have that same energy that we had during the 100s and 200s. That's all I'm saying. It's hammer throw time.
Hammer throw. Go. And then steeple.
The rankings on the site. The 4 a.m. rankings on the site are Rudy Winkler 1, Daniel Howe 2, Sean Donnelly 3, Alex Young 4, Morgan Shigo 5, Brock Eager, best name 6, and Connor McCullough 7. Rudy Winkler is the Cornell grad, has been dominating. No one's going to beat him. He's super consistent up top. Then I think it's a hodgepodge of anyone to take that 2-3. I kind of like Connor McCullough. I followed him during his Princeton days, and then USC. He almost broke the collegiate record at USC. So I think order-wise, I think I'm going Winkler 1, Connor McCullough 2, and then I guess I'll go with my number 2 ranked athlete 3, so Daniel House. I'll go Winkler, McCullough, Hall. Daniel Hall.
Okay.
Howell or Hall?
And
I don't want to say his last name.
And I'll put Donnelly in there. So I'll go Winkler, Donnelly, and then Haw. Women's hammer in the United States. Been pretty interesting. You got Deanna Price in there. Reigning gold medalist in the event. She's got the farthest throw this year, but Brooke Anderson's right on her heels. And then, of course, Gwen Berry there as well, too. I think I'll go Price, Berry, and then Anderson as my 3, Gordon.
Price. Berry. See, I'm typing this in, man. I'm like the scribe here. So, yeah, I mean, Anderson, Price, and Berry are basically the big 3 when it comes. They're like the Brooklyn Nets of the women's hammer throw, you could say.
Too soon.
Too soon. Oh, yeah. I guess hopefully none of them are. Anyway, I'm filibustering again. But yeah, I'm going to go chalk here. I think it's going to be Anderson, Price, Berry. And that's all she said about that event. So that's what I'm saying.
Steeple.
3K steeple. Let's do it. Steeple.
Okay, men's steeple, obviously rocked by the news of Jaeger withdrawing. We also have Stanley Cabini scratching. So not a lot of directions to go in here. Hillary Bohr, top seed time, 8:09. He's a favorite, I think. Then you got Updike, Furlick, Keeter, McGorty are the only ones that are on sub 8:21. Then you have Mahalski and Obsali, 8:21, 8:22. I think McGorty's going to make the team. I think he has enough talent to do it. I obviously think Bohr is going to make the team. And then I think it's going to come down to Updike, Furlick, and Keeter for the last spot. And I'll go with Mason Furlick just because, man, that 1,500 PB is mighty impressive of his.
What do you think Andy Bear's thoughts are on this field that he forgoed, that he chose not to participate in? He decided to retire. Is like, it's not worth it if I don't make the Olympics. All the training it would take. And then seeing no Jaeger and no Kabeni and kind of like a new crop of guys. It's like Bear clearly would have been on this team if he trained and was healthy and was 80% of what his 2019 was.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed, but you'd feel pretty good about him just based on the history. But it's still, I mean, Bohr is still really good, right? McGorty has this huge ceiling. So then, I mean, it would not have been a guarantee that Bear made the team.
True.
It would have been a guarantee if Cabini made the team. The only one I would have felt good about is Jaeger, just because his past performances. Do you have a different top 3 than I do?
No, I'm going with Bohr 1 as well because he won that Diamond League. Even though Bohr got smoked in that home race to Updike and Furlick, I think Bohr maybe had a weird race because he proved that by beating an international field. There are some interesting athletes I kind of want to think about, like Don Cabral. He made his first Olympics in 2008? Was it? It's crazy how long he's been. Or 8 or 12? It was 12. 2012.
I thought it was 12. Yeah, that was 12.
Yeah, 12.
Let me look.
That's a long time ago. It's 11 years. Cabral still chasing that dream. I mean, he already achieved the dream, but he's still at it. It's impressive. I have him making the final. I don't see. Yeah, I think it's Bohr, McGorty, and then what you said, Furlick. He's run a really quick 1,500. Yeah, that is going to be very important. Speed in this 3K steeple. So yeah, I'm going with Bohr, McGorty, and Furlick as my top 3. Same as you.
Okay. Women's steeple. Harder to predict than anticipated coming into the season because Quigley hasn't been steepling much or at all this year. So Frericks, Coburn are solid. Frericks has run a couple times. Coburn ran the 908. And then, I mean, if Quigley can run 920s, I think she's fine. If she doesn't, then you got a big group of women there that it would include Constein, Lawrence, Fallon, Howard, Ostrander, Wayment, Norris, Rainsberger, Alexina Wilson are all sub 9:33. So they're all between 9:33 and 9:25.
Yeah. So Quigley, she's only run one race in 2021, and I think it was in February, and she ran a 3K, and it was a respectable 3K. She ran well. What are we going to get from her? Is this going to be like, is this like a fake out where she's not truly a top 3 and she's going to show up and get an Instagram photo and be like, check out Lululemon. Hey, have a good time. Or is she like in the 920 range and it's like a legitimate, hey, I'm making the team. That's what sucks about this. It's so hard to pick because if you know that she's good, then it's her. But if it's not, then you got to think this is like the one event where you should be allowed to have 2 picks. You should be allowed to have your Coburn Frericks Quigley pick and then your Coburn Frericks non-Quigley pick.
So the collegians are really deep this year, right? We watched that race with Mihaela Norris getting the win, and Wayment was there, and Rainsberger was there. But no one person emerged as like, oh, I'm like a low 920, high 9 teens person. They all were in the 930s again. So that I think gives a little bit more wiggle room to Quigley, and someone like Constian or Lawrence or Fallon, I think, or Marissa Howard are ahead in that group. So I'm going to say there's just going to be enough room there for Quigley to where she can run off of her PB by a decent amount and still make this team. So I'm going to go back to the chalk of all chalks pick and go Coburn, Frericks, and Quigley.
I'm gonna shoot for a Hail Mary. I'm just doing it. You got to zig when you're zagging once in a while. Try to get one up on you on this prediction game. I'm just gonna make the bet that Quigley isn't 100%, and I'm going to then therefore go with my wild card. And I think Wayment just had a bad race. I think she's better than what she did at the NCAA championships. I think Wayment is going to put together, and I'm going to pick Wayment for the 3rd spot. I'm going wild. Let's do it.
Okay, let's move on. Javelin time.
Yeah.
Javelin time. Women's javelin. We just had an American record recently. The women's javelin. Gordon, Maggie Malone, 66.82. So going with her. You got Kara Winger there, who's 3rd on the U.S. list this year, and in between them is Ariana Ince. Excuse me if I pronounce that wrong. INCE. Kylie Carter, also over 60 meters this year. What do the rankings say, Gordon, on the javelin?
So the rankings say Maggie Malone, Kara Winger, Ince, Kylie Carter, Avani Allgood as your top 5. But you talk about Maggie Malone breaking the American record. We need to do a little bit of like appreciation for Kara Winger here. Okay, Kara Winger has made the 2019, 17, 16, 15, 12, 11, 9, 8 global teams. She's made 8 teams since 2008 to 2019. She's going for her 9th team. That's incredible.
Pretty good.
Like it's been the Kara Winger and everyone else party for over a decade. Now Maggie Malone has her breakout performance, breaking Kara Winger's American record. I think you just got to give it up for, and most of those teams that she makes, she wins at USA's. It's just an incredible career for Kara Winger, kind of underseen because it's the women's javelin, but making 8 teams, going on potentially number 9, that's incredible.
So what's your top 3?
I'm going with I'm going with the chalk of my rankings because I did them at 4 a.m. Malone, Winger, and Ince.
Okay. That's good that you bring that up because Patrick in the chat asks, when were these rankings made? What time of day? If you could just narrow that down for us.
It was actually 3:59 a.m. I just rounded up to give myself a little more.
Okay.
It sounds cooler when we say 4.
You should
instead
go
of
live.
359.
You should start going live when you submit your rankings. I think people on YouTube would love that. That's 4 a.m. Central too. So I mean, if you're on the East Coast and you get up early, maybe you could actually watch Gordon
Yeah.
press that button. Men's javelin. Men's javelin.
So the rankings go Michael Shuey, Curtis Thompson, Ryle Dolezal, Mark
Riley Dolezal.
Minicello, Riley Dolezal. Apologies. Mark Minicello, Capers, Williamson. Pedigo, the LSU kid who won NCAAs, I have ranked 8th in this. Like you're probably faking it till you make it. You really don't know much about the javelin. I do know though that the javelin throw has very few people with the standard. So few, it's only 3 guys. And actually, hold on, no one has a standard in the javelin. They all have a world ranking quota, meaning they can get in on their world ranking. That is Shuey, Thompson, and Dolezal. So they need it's going to be kind of a weird trials because no one's going to have the standard. They're all going to be kind of hoping on ranking and where their place is. So it's going to be a weird team. No one's going to know the team truly after trials because most likely 2, if not 3 of the guys who go will have to get in on ranking, which will be kind of a weird little twist to our process. But yeah, I'm going with the chalk in the situation with Shuey, Thompson, and Dolezal.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. You can just move those picks over to me too. You put the time in. You got up at, I don't remember exactly what time to do those rankings. So I'm going to stick with you on those men's javelin picks. Now we go to the 5,000. Men's and women's 5,000 meters at the Olympic trials. Again, these are going to be influenced by other events, particularly the men's 5,000. Who gets in the 10K will obviously play a big role. So let's start first with the men. When you look at the entries here at the top, number 1 seed right now is none other than Woody Kincaid, that 12:58. Lamong has a 12:58. Fisher, 13:02. Chalimo, 13:04. Bohr, 13:04. McGordy's also entered, 13:06. Klecker, 13:06. Ben True, Eric Jenkins, and Cooper Tier. Other notable names, Kirabella Rasa, Ryan Hill, and Cole Hawker. How are you breaking this one down, Gordon? How are you thinking about this men's 5,000?
So I think there are 2 locks, and I think the locks are Chalimo and Fisher. I think Fisher's going to win. I think he is running the best that he's ever had in his career. He's consistent. He's always winning the races he's in. He's always closing well. He has some quick 1500s under his belt. And Chalimo's the vet. He's going to find a way to make the team. But I want to say this. All season long, I have been on the Luis Grijalva train, right? I've been hyping him in the NCAA that he is better than Cole Hawker, that he's better than Cooper Tier and all these guys. He beats them in the smaller meets. And I just looked at Grijalva as like he's the next great thing coming out of the NCAA collegiate distance running. And then he got beat at NCAAs. And he got beat by a guy named Cooper Tier. And Cooper Tier just straight up beat him. It wasn't like a fluke race. He straight up beat the guy who I thought was the best. And he beat him so well that I think that Cooper Tier could get 3rd in the Olympic trials. He's run a 350 mile. Like we look here, Cooper Tier has just been overlooked because he's getting overlooked because of Cole Hawker, what he did with his double indoors. Got overlooked by me because I'm always thinking like, oh, it's going to be Grijalva when all is said and done. But like you look at his resume, he's run a 350 mile. He's run a fast 1500s where he almost beat Yared Naguse, who we think can make a team. And then he closes well on a 13:12 pace. You're not going to need to run 13:05 to win to make top 3 in the 5K. It's going to be a kicker's race. And he has shown that he can kick. How many guys in this field are 350 milers? Like, is Emmanuel Bohr a 350 miler? Is Woody Kincaid a 350 miler? Is Joe Klecker a 350 miler? Ben True, Eric Jenkins? I don't think so. I think Tier can make the team, and I'm picking him to make the team. I'm picking My order is Fisher 1, Chelimo 2, and Cooper Tier 3. And that's that. Lemong and Kincaid are the wild cards, but they didn't look crazy that good in that Portland Track Festival meet they ran in, where they ran in 2 separate heats. Like, they haven't really done much. I know you got to ignore the 12:58 seed times because they were done in the woods that no one cared about. Throw that out. I think Tier's running at the top of his game. He's on his home track. Cooper Tier makes the team. Go. Your thoughts.
Okay. My thoughts are this. I think Fisher's going to make it in the 10. I don't know if he'll come back and run this event. I think there's a really good chance that Lemong and Kincaid could also make it in the 10. I'm just not going to pick against Chelimo at this point in his career. Run a couple good 5Ks indoor. They were solid. Does he have the 350 mile under his belt? No. But this is 5,000. And I think Chelimo's had enough experience to where he can get it done. And I like Bohr. I mean, I know you kind of passed over him there, but he beat Chelimo. I think they're going to work together. I think this is one of those situations where we're actually going to probably see some sort of team tactics, even though it's rare. And I think those guys are going to work it together and grind down the pace and make sure this is a real honest effort. And then for that third spot, I will pick someone, the Bowerman person who doesn't who looks good in the 10K but comes back for the 10K. Like, I don't. It's a placeholder. I'll just say Fisher. I will say Fisher for the sake of argument here. So I think it's going to be. I think Chelimo, Bohr, and Fisher are going to make the team. It's going to be an all-timer, though. I obviously think Cooper Tier has a chance. If Cole Hawker ends up running it, I think Cole Hawker has a chance as well. You cannot discount the closing speed as well, too. But I think there's just going to be enough of a wind up to this race that's going to take it out of their legs. We could see something real fast. We could see something sub for a championship race. That is, we could see something sub 13:10 here.
So you're not that shocked that I think Tier can make the team? If I said that in December of 2020, you'd be like, you're crazy. You're just an Oregon stan right now. Like, come on, man. Cooper Tier ain't making no Olympic team. But I'm now there. I'm there that I think he can make the Olympic team.
It's a shame Lincoln's not here, because Lincoln discussing Grant Fisher and Cooper Tier, his head would have exploded, because he'd been talking about them for since they were born. It would have been a much bolder pick. Yes, you're right. Beginning of 2020, heck, even beginning of 2021. But you're talking about a guy who on the year has run the 4th fastest time in the U.S. and has 350 miler speed, and we just saw him close sub 55. You have all the ingredients there to make a team. It's all there. It's all there. There isn't any weakness in his game. The only issue is, he's going up against a very stout field to make this squad. Women's 5,000. I think this one is a little more straightforward. Go ahead.
One last thing. It kind of reminds me of Jenkins in 2016. Jenkins, I think it was 1 year out of college or just out of college, and he got 4th in the Olympic 5K. Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of that realm of the young kid Tier. So, anyway, I'm hoping I'm right on this pick, the Tier. I'm very happy I've come to accept that I think Tier is going to be an Olympian in 2021. All right, women's 5K. So when I did the rankings, I had to include Purier in the rankings, even though she's not going to run it because she'll make the 1,500. I'm going Schweizer for the win. I think Rachel Schneider gets 2nd, and I think Josette Norris gets 3rd. I think this event just got crazy different, because if you take out Cranny, Purier, and Shelby, it all of a sudden it just becomes wide open. And Jenny Simpson's not the same Jenny Simpson. So
Robert scratched as well. True, and I think Sisson is still entered in this, so I don't think we can entirely count her out, although I think most people think the better chance for her is in the 10,000. This just changed over the last couple of weeks dramatically. Well, starting with the decision to put it at the same time as the 1,500 totally changed this. Totally changed this equation. So this is why I was confused about Cranny, because I could slot her into third here pretty easy.
Wait, Sisson's in it?
Isn't she? She's on my list.
She's scratched.
She scratched the 5?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Oh, wow. Wait, if she's back in it, that'll be hilarious. I think she's scratched. Yeah, she's not entered. Sisson's not in the 5K. Come on.
Sisson's not entered in the 5K?
No.
Wow. Okay. See, for a second there, you got nervous because you thought, man, you did your rankings at 4 a.m. and you might have missed it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Sisson scratched.
Okay, so Sisson scratched it. She's going all in on the 10, which we'll talk about next. But I would have put Cranny in the 2-3 spot here. Easy.
Yeah.
With her 10K ability and her 1500 meter ability, I think it just was a natural fit for her to run really well and could just work with Schweizer and get on this team. But if you're saying you don't think she's going to be there, if you're saying she's got to run the 15, just based on the order, I don't see any, like, your order makes plenty of sense. I mean, Ali Bachowski has run, sub 15, but I'd be more inclined to pick Norris for it. So yeah, Schweizer, Schneider, Norris. And if Cranny's there, I think Cranny, for whatever reason, I think she's going to make the team, and I would move Norris down.
Yeah, I think maybe Jerry's thinking with Schweizer and Cranny, it's like, hey, let's split them up in the 15 and the 5 so they have a better chance of making a team, and then they both can come back in the 10K as their backup. Like it's better for them to kind of get one of 3 instead of trying to get 2 of 3.
Well, let's just talk about can we just talk about the 10K now then?
No, we're going in order, man. What's your picks? What's your picks?
My picks are your picks because there's not many options there. I thought there was going to be a million things to choose from, and between all the scratches and the double attempts, I'm going to go Schweizer, Schneider, Norris.
Yeah, you got to blame the schedule makers for this situation.
But I think Cranny could make it.
Oh, yeah.
I think Cranny could make it. So I don't know if there's a time to change it. I think her running the 5 makes so much more sense than the 15, where you have all those people around that low 4 spot. I don't know. Interesting decision. So, okay, you don't want to allow me to go to the...
No, we have to do the multis. It's decathlon and heptathlon time, man.
Okay, do it.
You're so annoyed. We need to give all of the events equal treatment here. This is the mega podcast pod preview.
I'm not saying skip the event. I'm not saying skip the event. I'm just saying let's just do the 10K because we're rolling into it so effortlessly. But now you've screwed up the transition. No. We're not
rolling the 10K.
Talk your hep deck. Let's go.
So decathlon and heptathlon are kind of a unique event to kind of judge because you don't do that many performances, right? You normally do 1 or 2 a year, if that. And sometimes you're just kind of focusing on individual events. So it's kind of really know what your true championship decath mark can be and your heptat mark can be. I think when it comes to both of these fields, you kind of just have to look at the more established athletes as the ones who are more likely to qualify. And there's always a big drop off. Normally there's like 2 to 3 to 4 people who are just so much better than the rest of the field. On the men's side, you got kind of a big 3 in Scantling, Williams, and Zemek. Zemek, however, he hasn't thrown down his mark until recently. So I'm going to go with Scantling, Williams, and then Solomon Simmons, who's been doing the multis for I don't know how long, but he's always been a consistent guy. He has a PB of 8:22.7. So I'm going Scantling, Williams, and Simmons is my pick. What are you doing?
Oh man, you got to put double Z in there. ZMAC, man, for that third spot behind Scant. Yeah, that's what I got. What about heptathlon?
Okay. Heptathlon, same thing, but there's a big 2 in Erica Bogard and Kendall Williams. Talked about Williams. She could have probably made the team in the long jump if she wanted to. They are 400 points better than everyone else. So Bogard and Williams is going to be everyone 1-2. Question is, who's get third? I don't know, right? I think maybe you got to go with some. I think Brooks. She comes from. I think she's one. She competed at Arkansas, so she got some good experience there. So I'm going Bogard, Williams, Sorry, I'm writing this down as I go. Bogard, Williams, and Brooks.
Talia
What are
Brooks.
you doing?
Yep. Yeah,
That was a
I
quick.
think that's. I mean,
I was like, yeah, whatever you say, because I want to talk about the 10K pick.
no. I mean, there's four women that entered at 6,200, so it's just like throw a dart at a board, right? On those ones, I think Brooks is a good pick. I'd probably stick with Brooks there, but Martin, Hawkins, Hall, all right there.
We've made it to the end. The final event, men's and women's 10K. It's not the final event. It's actually one of the first events that we actually get to watch. So it's perfect timing.
For the men. For the women, it's at the end. All right, let's continue with the women. Let's just continue with the segue I was trying to make before you jumped in front of me there, which was Sisson. Sisson being the top, because you're talking about spreading out the qualifiers, right? But there's no, like, the 10,000 is different than the 5,000, not just in distance, but in the people that are running, aka Emily Sisson. Like, Emily Sisson is a threat to make the team, and when you only have 3 spots, if you have one person who's that good in it, like, and you can avoid that person, you should try to avoid that person. So I would feel a bit nervous if I was putting all my eggs in the or at least not running the 5K and going to the 10K. That being said, if Schweizer runs it, I think she makes the team. I feel good about Schneider. I feel good about Cranny, and I feel good about Sisson. But my final 3 will be, well, first of all, let me just ask you this. Do you think Schweizer will double if she makes it in the 5?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to come back and do the 10. The question is, will they scratch it and give the 4th place finisher the actual Olympic spot?
Okay.
Like, that's
so I'll just tell you
situation. You got to assume they're going to run. Cranny and Schweizer are running. You got to assume that.
Yeah, I'll just tell you the 3 who I think are going to cross the line first. We'll decide who actually runs the Olympics later. I think Schweizer, Sisson, Schneider are my top 3.
Oh, so no Cranny?
Yeah, correct.
So this is the one event where, for the record, I'm going Schweizer, Cranny, Schneider as my top 3. But there's an athlete who I'm not sure is in or out. We don't know yet. We're still waiting. And that's Wayne Colati. Wayne Colati has yet to officially have her U.S. citizenship, but she's on the entries and she's provisionally will be accepted. Like, she has the time to get in. The question is, she needs to make sure she has her citizenship in time before the 10K gun goes off. Let's assume that she gets it. Where do you think Colati? Do you think Colati? I think Colati could break into the top 3, right? I mean, she's run 31:10. She was right there with Schneider. She has a similar PB season's best to Schneider and Infeld. So, like, you got to think that she could be in there.
Oh, 100%. I think she would be in that group with that, I don't know, top 6 or 7, right? Cranny, Schweizer, Sisson, Enfeld, Schneider, Monson, Colati, or something like that. Like, she would definitely be in the top 6 or 7 and could have the possibility to move in the top 3. Certainly. I just think this one is going to be one where, because we're doing daily podcasts throughout the trials. For those of you who don't know, we'll be doing the recaps every single night. So as soon as the meet is over, you can hop on to this channel and watch us. This will be one of those things that just, like, when we get to day 5 or 6, we're like, hey, can we redo those 10K picks? Because so many other things have happened to change our priors about what's going to happen in that race.
So we are allowed to change our picks only if someone in our top 3 officially scratches. It's the only time we can change it.
I'm not talking about like officially scoring it for the purposes of bragging rights. I'm just talking about the whole dynamic of the race is going to shift once we see the 5,000 and the 1,500.
That's true.
The men will be different. The men will be different because the men, it's right off the bat, right? So we're going to see Lamong, Fisher, Kincaid, True, Jenkins, Bohr, Klecker, Career. Like, they're going to be in that race unless something horrible has gone wrong. The men's 10K, you could see a Bowerman sweep. You could also see a situation where, Ben True works his way in there. Emmanuel Bohr, who I talked about in the 5K preview, gets in there. Jenkins gets redemption for 2016. A lot of different possibilities here.
Yeah, I do think we will see a Bowerman 1-2. I think Fisher, this is Fisher's meet. Fisher is going to win the 10 and the 5. I think he starts it with this win in the 10, comes back and wins the 5.
Wow.
I think he's the best distance runner right now in our nation. Grant Fisher, mark it, book it. I think Lamong finds a way to make the team. My pick for third, I think Klecker. I think he's consistent. I think Klecker just finds a way to get third. I think the 10K is weird because there's going to be a lot of people who give up on it. There's going to be people who are like, I'm out. Like if they know they're not going to have it, they're going to pull the plug early because they want to be as fresh as possible for the 5K. So I can see a lot of people we think would kind of try to typically grind through it and try to sneak in for a top 5. No, there's no goal for like running hard to get fourth. So if you know you're not going to be top 3 by mile 4, you might just like, all right, I'm done. But I think Fisher, Lamong, Klecker is going to be my team.
I like how you anointed Grant Fisher just now the best distance runner in the United States. You just sneakily did that, just right under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
We'll see. We don't have to wait long to find out. We'll see. I mean, 27:11, 13:02. Let's see what happens now in the championship part of the season. Any last words before we begin to wrap?
Well, what's your team? What's your team?
Oh, I'm going to go. Man, I'm going to put True on the team just because he's always there. I'm going to go Fisher, Lamong, True. With the caveat that Woody Kincaid is just hanging out there and could win this race as well, too.
Okay, so now here's a question. Where does Galen Rupp finish?
I'm surprised he's going to run this, to be honest. I mean, it's a great workout for him. What did he run? 28?
Something.
28 flat. Yeah, 28 dead. Galen Rupp does not score points. He does not finish in the top 8. I think he runs.
I think he might.
I think he gets 12th. Depends on the weather, though, too. It's supposed to be really hot. And you're right. If there's a bunch of DNFs, maybe he.
Yeah, Galen has no reason to DNF. He's going to be like, I'm here just to get 25 laps in. So I think he's going to. I think he's going to grind it out. I have him ranked 6th in my FloTrack rankings because it's Galen Rupp. Mm-hmm. I think he wouldn't enter. He's not going to enter this meet to finish 20th. That makes no sense. Like, what's the point of that? Go to the Olympic trials so you can get 20th? Like,
well, I mean, if his seat time's accurate, though, he wasn't like chilling in that race. He was going hard, right?
But that race was trying to run sub 28, and he ran 28 flat. Like, it wasn't like I'm trying to run 27:15. I don't know. I think he's going to finish top 8. I think, especially with the DNF factor. Okay, I'll take. Well, that's an easy over to take. I'm not.
Well, I just all right. How about? So maybe you shouldn't have set the line the way you did. Then.
No, I'm going to set the line. Set the line at 10.
Never go to Las Vegas. Over.
I'm setting the line at 10. Over. Okay, I'll take the under of 10.
You think he can beat? You think he can? Actually, here's the pick. Here's the pick. Which Mike Smith coached athlete will finish first?
So Abdi Nur or Galen Rupp?
Yeah.
Abdi Nur's looking good.
Exactly.
But I think Abdi Nur's going to – yeah, I think Abdi Hamid, he's too young. It's the Olympic trials.
Nope.
Galen Rupp. I think Rupp will beat Nur.
Wrong answer. The answer is Abdi Hamid Nur. Don't pick against Abdi Hamid, man. No. The new generation is coming up. Book it. You could put some money on that one as well too. Okay, we'll leave it there.
Big shout out.
Hold on.
One other thing. Big shout out to USATF. They did let James Mawara of Gonzaga into the meet, even though he didn't technically declare on time. They just played. They just recognized. All right, yeah, we get it. You ran really fast at NCAAs. We'll let you in. So I think USATF did a good solid, which is what you should do when you recognize like, hey, it's not the hardest to make a change. Make the change, and USATF did the right thing. They let James Mawar of Gonzaga. For those who don't know, he didn't declare on time, but he ran his time at NCAAs, which is after the date. blah, blah, blah. But he's in. So big ups to James Moirara getting his first lick at the Olympic trials in the 10K. So
okay, so there's a couple questions that were in the chat that I wanted you to address real quick. Standard issue with the world rankings and stuff. What events, if any, will that impact when it actually shakes out, do you think?
I mean, it will affect field events, I think. Okay. But like, that's really, who cares about, not who cares, but like, it's not there. It's always affected field events. So it's not really that big of a difference. Sprint events, it's not going to matter at all. Everyone's going to have it. You're going to have to run the standard to be top 3 anyway. So I think it could affect the 800 maybe, if we get a weird race where it's a sit and kick and you have Isaiah Harris doesn't have the standard and he gets 3rd in a sit and kick. So that could be a weird situation. I still think you could get in the 15. You're definitely not going to get the standard in the final. So if, like we said, Johnny Gregoric gets in, or Sam Prakel, or anyone else, like Cole Hawker. Cole Hawker doesn't have the standard. That's the big one. Cole Hawker doesn't have the standard. So he's going to have to get in on world ranking. And I think he will, because he's run a bunch. And I think if he runs a top 3 at an A-level meet, which I think the trials will be, that should help him. But Cole Hawker is probably the biggest question mark because he's going to have to get in on world ranking. And as of right now, his world ranking isn't high enough. But that world ranking does not include his NCA performance. So when they include NCA performances, his world ranking might go up a bit. And then women's steeple, maybe. Anywhere else? Danny Jones. She doesn't have the standard in the 15, and that could be a slow sit and kick that Danny Jones could get 3rd. So it's going to be the 1500 where we would see something crazy happen.
All right, we'll leave it there. There's a bunch more questions, but we'll get to them when we kick off our daily recap pods starting on Friday every single day after the Olympic trials. Keep it locked here to the FloTrack podcast. Thank you to Gordon, who woke up at what time?
4 a.m.
And thanks to Cole for producing this long show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will talk to you guys on Friday.